Look at that. From the Sugar Shack World Headquarters, it's the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Just ahead, Vernon Wilhelm on the Gullo Ford Club Cruise. How fun. Conrad has the racing calendar and the car clinic, and later we discuss the stories making auto news headlines this week. Stay with us for 3 hours of the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show.
3 hours?
Howdy, along with David Ainsley, filling in for the sick Mike Mars. King Conrad DeLong, fresh back from vacation, ladies and gentlemen. We always need more.
Yay.
Jeff Zekin. I'm Don Armstrong. Glad you could join us on this Saturday morning. It's going to be a fun-filled morning. I can tell you already, because David's been here for the past 90 minutes trying to get to this point in this studio for us to be on the air, if you want to call it that.
It didn't take that long.
And it goes much smoother when David's here, because when Mars is here, it's a train wreck.
Mars, you didn't hear that, Mars.
Yes, you threw him under the bus.
You just
Wow, that was not nice.
That wasn't nice, but it's okay. We're not nice to
typical.
Mars, and we all know.
It's typical
true.
Conrad. There you go.
David, how are you?
I'm well.
Lack of sleep?
A little bit.
Yeah. So, David, as you know, we've talked about this before. David is the chief bottle washer in the engineering department for a group of radio stations here in the Houston area.
He's the head
that has absorbed more radio stations. Here, David, let me sum it up for you in just one little action this morning. And that kind of sum it all up.
Entire day.
Yeah.
How many
Every
stations
day.
do you guys have now?
I have 5.
And you're
He's
6,
moving.
including this one.
And you're moving.
Yes. We're
Sweet.
moving some studios over, upgrading hardware, software, all of that.
Got any leftover
Well,
equipment?
that's why
you
we
wanna-
use you
So-
here, because we know you know how to do
Let's
it.
ask David about how it went when he hit the button for some new programming software to integrate all the stations. How did that go for you, David? It went right.
We're off the air. All the lights came on. Like, oh my God! What happened?
Was Mars there?
Yeah, I saw
And
him
you
around the
pick
corner
on
with
me.
the cable in his hand.
Yeah, I don't know
I
what to do.
can order new cables for that.
Wow.
We
Well,
should have a
let's get to Vernon so they can get it
We
started on
should have a
time.
great show today. We invite you to stay tuned. 3 hours of the show, and of course, we're on every digital outlet I think that there is
40
in the world.
countries.
40 countries worldwide. All right. So Vernon Wilhelm, Northside Mustang Club, and the Gullo Ford Club Cruise that's about to take place. Good morning to you, Vernon.
Good morning. Good morning.
Well, thank you so much for joining us this morning. I know you have nothing to do. You probably got a whole load of cars out in the parking lot ready for this cruise. And behind the camera this morning is our good friend, Randy Weldon.
Randy.
And so we appreciate both of you guys talking to us this morning. There's Randy. So, Vernon, tell me about this. Is this an annual event? Is this a first of its kind or what?
No, this is actually our second one. We did this last year. Actually, this is going to be our 5th cruise of the year now. We are big into cruises and getting our members out there and having a little bit of fun.
Well,
Besides,
I sure hope that you bring with you the air conditioning guy, because if anybody loses air conditioning today, they're going to be down and out.
that's what we got Randy for.
Randy Weldon. Randy's good for something, and that's a good thing for him to be good of. Yeah, we got it.
I am MBAC certified.
All right, well, that's good to know. And he's got a big jug of Freon in the back of the car, and we're ready to go. So where are you guys going today?
We're going to head over to Anderson to the Grimes County Courthouse, and we're going to travel through the down kind of 105 around up 1774 over there, and then take a few pictures. I mean, it's a beautiful courthouse, and then we're going to leave from there and head into the National Forest and wind around through there and get up to Huntsville, where we're going to take the time to eat lunch, and then we'll finish up there and head on over to the Texas Prison Museum before we head on back.
So, there seems to be a lot of jails and prisons and incarcerations going on in this tour. The courthouse there in Grimes County, I believe, has a jail in the upstairs of that facility, and you're going to wind up at the prison museum. And
right near the Walls unit.
I think that the old Sparky is in there.
I was going to
isn't
say,
it?
who's testing old Sparky?
Isn't it?
I'm definitely supposedly there's a letter in there from Bonnie and Clyde when he sent it to Ford saying that how much he appreciated the car that Ford built, even though that he knows Mr. Ford didn't appreciate the kind of business he was in.
Well, how fun! I did not know that. Is that where that original letter is?
Mm-hmm.
That's why I understand that the letter is.
I'll be
praising the Flathead Ford V8.
Well, it was an accomplishment that carries on today. Yeah.
Yes.
And not in the flathead form, but it certainly, the V8 was a true game changer, as it were. So how many people are going to go on this cruise?
We've got 21 people that are headed on, beyond the cruise. Now that's 21 vehicles. We'll have, so we can end up with, 40 plus people. And then we also have 127 that are interested. And so we know how many of those are going to show up.
Well, is this strictly a Mustang thing?
No, sir. This is open to all car enthusiasts, no matter what you drive. This is out this to have fun with the whole community. You can bring your Chevy, your Dodge, your import. We'd rather you drive the Ford Mustang, but it's open to everybody.
So
and they could always trade in and buy a new Mustang from Gillo.
Well,
Yeah.
the only other thing that I can think of is that there's probably going to be a lot of nose thumbing going on up and down the track today.
Correct. There will be.
All right. What kind of car do you have?
Well, I've got a '67 Fastback Mustang. I don't have this on the cruise, but I also have, or my wife has. I better correct that. She's got the 06 converted Mustang that looks like a '67 Fastback.
Oh, wow.
Tribute cars those are, too.
How cool is that?
Yeah, they're tribute to the Steelers. Pittsburgh Steelers.
I did
Y'all
not.
have seen them?
I don't know if I have. If I have, I didn't recognize
I
it.
think we saw them down when we were at the Aviation Museum at Ellington Field. They were kind of parked right out the front door to the left. The guy had the 67 Tribute cars. So there's a front end change that's very much 67-ish, and then the back end change. Nice conversion.
How fun! I guess I just didn't recognize it or know it. Do they still sell these conversions?
Yes, they do.
So I can buy a new Mustang and have it converted and have it look like a '67.
Yeah, they're converting 05s to 2014s.
05 to 14s.
Wow.
New powertrain, classic body style.
I love it. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
But they do that also for other manufacturers as well.
Well, I was going to say, I think that Camaro is into that.
yeah.
Camaro and Trans Am.
Yeah, but
Corvette.
this is a Mustang event.
I
They
understand.
don't want you to talk about the mullet heads.
But he said you could bring
Isn't that
anything
right,
you wanted.
Vernon?
You could bring anything
That's
you want.
right.
Jeff wants to bring the Cadillac.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
That is perfectly. Matter
See,
of fact,
I knew it.
But he's in Sugarland, so he best get in it now and haul donkey to get there. In
Haul
time.
donkey, yeah. So he'll have to meet you at the Grimes County jailhouse.
Yeah, maybe you'll be in it, right?
Yeah, yeah, and his Cadillac could be on the hook
Yeah, on the hook out front.
again.
Yeah. Now Ainsley, I think that he needs to bring the van. Did you bring the van today?
Yeah,
I
I
brought
did.
the van.
It's awesome.
And so let us just kind of go off of sidetrack here and let's talk about Ainsley's van. What year is that thing?
It's gorgeous.
It's an 03.
A 1903, a
1903
a 2003 model
Odyssey.
Honda Odyssey.
V6.
And when you bought it, how many miles did it have on it?
36,000 miles.
36,000.
And what's it got on it now?
57.
That's not bad.
57. Well, you took a big trip up to the UP
Yeah, I
of
drove it
Michigan.
up north last year.
Yeah. Boy, that's a brutal trip.
It's a 24-hour drive, 2 days. It was tough.
I know. Yeah,
That's why they
I don't
invent
think-
airplanes. I flew in.
Yeah, I did that
Hey,
this
boy,
year.
were
We've
his
got a spot
arms
for it out
tired.
there at the fall show. We got a class for it.
You do?
We do. We got 45 classes.
45 classes of take the van. And so David called. We
That's
were
the
talking.
soccer mom class.
There you go.
David and I were talking
Hey.
yesterday afternoon, arranging for David to be here today. And I said, "Well, David, come on, let's do this thing." Well, I gotta wash the car first. The van? Yeah, the van. How about the car wash? Oh, no, I don't run it through a car wash. I'm going to hand wash it out in the driveway. The van.
Oh, yeah.
So
It's a chick magnet.
it is a chick magnet. Uh-huh.
A tick magnet?
A chick magnet. Yeah. Well,
Ticks and
at any
fleas.
rate, we kind of go off track here. Pardon us. So
Well, Vernon,
I want to know where you guys are going to have lunch.
We're going to have lunch at the City Cafe in Huntsville.
City Cafe in Huntsville. What time are you scheduled to be there?
Probably about 12:30, 1 o'clock.
Okay, so for those people that have nothing else to do and want to get stuck in traffic all the way up to Huntsville this morning, then meet them at 12:30 and have lunch with them. That'll all be a good. And it's kind of like a throwdown car show in the parking lot of the City Cafe in Huntsville. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. And so you can talk to the people. Oh, I like that car. Oh, I like that conversion.
Yep.
Well, there they are. They're all there, and they'll be willing and more than willing to talk to you about that. How fun!
And
Well,
then get that piece of pie.
oh, is that what they're known for?
Yeah.
The pies.
Gillo's been a big supporter of the Northside Mustang Club for quite some time, haven't they?
They have, definitely have. We can't say enough about Billo and what they've done for our club.
And it's real nice to see the OEM dealerships supporting the car clubs in the community.
It is. We it's hard to do this without their support.
I just thought it was cool that
Well, you started the conversation. I'm waiting for you to continue the conversation.
Drinking water.
took a drink of water.
Okay, that's a good
You
excuse.
guys should ask Vernon about his November 4th car show.
Well, wait just a minute. Randy Weldon, the voice out of the clear blue sky. November what car show?
November 4th. We'll have our fall open car show.
Where is that going to be?
That is going to be at Bull Solace Park in New Caney.
Bull what?
Bull Solace Park.
Bull Solace Park.
SOLAS.
What did you say? 45 classes?
We have 45 classes. In these classes, we have a first, second, and also a sponsor award. Every class has a sponsor. First place comes with a $50 check and a trophy, and then we have our second place, and then a sponsor, and then we'll have 8 best ofs. Ford, Dodge, Chevy, paint, interior. Those will be a trophy and a $150 check, and then best of show is going to be a nice trophy and $400 check.
Oh, nice.
Well, yeah. And so
Where could people go to register?
Carshowfun.com.
Carshowfun.com, and that's Saturday, November the 4th in Bull Solace Park. Where'd you say
Yes.
that is?
New Caney?
New
It's
Caney.
And we opened the show about 2 weeks ago, and within 2 weeks, our 40 spots that we had indoors are full. They're gone. Our covered
Indoors?
parking now- We have indoor, we have covered paid parking and outdoor parking.
And that's
Right.
is that for the show cars you're talking about?
That is for all the show cars. We're expecting somewhere between 200, 250 cars at the show.
Wow. That's nice. November the 4th. It's a Saturday. What are the hours of that show?
We will start bringing cars in about 8 o'clock, and trophies will be between 2 and 3. Well, we have an indoor area for the stage, all our trophies, and surprising enough, I mean, this is we're getting a lot of cars coming out of city. There's at least 8 cars coming out of Dallas, a couple out of Sherman, Texas, some out of Beaumont that have already signed up for the show.
Well, how sweet is that? Most of them Ford Mustangs?
And then, out of Dallas, we've got a 66 Nova coming, a 55 Nomad. We got a 62 Corvette coming out of Beaumont. So we're getting a lot of attention, in a lot of cars that are not Mustang.
Did you say you've got somebody bringing a pre-production Mustang?
Yeah, we here just signed up this weekend, pre-production Mustang, 1964 and a half. It's believed to be one of the 150, 200 that were actually produced before the original release date of the Mustang.
Oh, wow.
And he is already signed up for the show, too. It believes to be the first convertible ever built.
Wow.
That's really something.
Yeah, I've already put the link on our social media for the registration page.
But we believe it's going to be a good show. Plus, we're going to be setting up some dartboards, and we're going to put Randy in front of the dartboard.
Well, that's always a good time. All right. Well, I'm going to let you guys go. It's 8:15. You got 15 minutes to
Saddle up.
to get the cars on the road and start your day-long trip around the Sam Houston National Forest, basically. And they're going to wind up in Huntsville, in the penitentiary.
We've got a couple more of these cruises planned for the rest of the year too. Another one coming up in September. We're going to be heading over to Schulenburg.
Well, that'd be good. All right, and it's an open cruise, so anybody can go on that.
Cruise, yes.
Vernon and Randy, thank you guys so much for being with us today.
Thank you, guys.
And you all be safe on your cruise.
Yep. Take care. All right. The N-Wheel Time race card is sponsored by Texas Nostalgia Modified Production.
NHRA this weekend is at Kansas.
Erica qualified second.
Second so far.
Right just
Good.
by a tick
Got 2 more rounds of qualifying today.
behind Greg Anderson. So pretty excited about that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And then next weekend they're at Brainerd in the zoo.
Oh, my God.
And then Labor Day weekend is always the big go, the U.S. Nationals at Indianapolis.
Indy.
And then September 14th at Maple Grove as they start the countdown. Well, the countdown ends at U.S. Nationals, and then the finals for the national championship begin at Maple Grove. NASCAR is at the Indy Road Course this weekend, so they go in reverse through the Indy Road Course. And then next weekend, they're at Watkins Glen, so they do 2 road courses back-to-back.
I saw a promo on last weekend's IndyCar race, which was very good, by the way. So I guess today is IndyCar and tomorrow is NASCAR?
Correct.
At Indianapolis.
Running the road course.
Running the road course. That'd
be a great weekend.
What a ticket.
Years ago, they used to have, when it was the Busch Series and the IRL would run on a Saturday at the same track, because I've been to many of those events.
Wow.
And then they would run the NASCAR Cup or the Winston Cup.
I had no clue. Well, it sounds really good. What else?
And then Formula One, the weekend of
Next.
August 27th is the Dutch Grand Prix, and then the Italian Grand Prix. Forget about it is the 9th or the 3rd of September. IMSA on August 27th is at Virginia International Raceway, and IndyCar this weekend is at Indy Road Course, and then on the 27th they're at Gateway around the St. Louis area. So that's racing.
Is that going to be like a downtown race? Do you know?
No. It's going to be a circle track race.
Those cars really. I mean, on a circle track, no. Indianapolis, okay, that's one thing. But they're all at 1.5 miles, high banked, and they're going way too fast.
Way too fast.
Mm-hmm. And they you
got to remember, a few years ago they were supposed to run at Dallas,
Texas, yeah.
At Texas, and they canceled it because they were too fast. And
Yeah,
they thought
the drivers didn't want to run it.
unsafe.
Well, remember,
so
the
fast.
guy got killed in Las Vegas,
Right.
had his head cut off because
Was
it
that Weldon? Was it Dan Weldon?
went up into the fence
Right.
because they were going too fast. It's nuts. Those cars are nothing but fast.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's fast because the engine, but it's also fast because the aerodynamics.
Correct.
And when one of them fails, bad things
Bad
happen.
thing.
Bad things.
Yeah.
So that's the race car. Don, back to you.
I think that they all should be road courses, either street courses or actual road courses like up in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin.
Oh, gosh, yeah. Road America.
What a wonderful track that is. Yeah. I I always used to love watching Riverside for NASCAR. And that was a great track. Kind of weird out in the desert.
Now
but
it's a
whatever.
big
Yeah.
subdivision.
It's not a very good part of town.
All right. Mr. Zekin is back.
Yep.
And he always has a feature for us. This week it's automotive calendars.
Yeah.
And how many automotive calendars have you bought in your life?
Oh, tons. But the calendar was first invented at 3100 BC was the first calendar.
Well, let's not talk
there were
about
no
that.
cars there. But
How did
that's
they
when
know it was BC?
Because it was on the calendar. They checked it off. So, I'll get into this, and then we're going to show what my version of a calendar would be for 2024.
Is
But
it
right
on a
now,
rock? Is it chiseled in a rock?
It's not chiseled in a rock. But calendars, again, way back, and my version, this is about the time of the year where you get that information and you plug in all those pretty pictures of cars and bikes and all that other stuff. But the first photo of a car was invented by Karl Benz in Mannheim, Germany, the first appearance on the Mannheim streets of Germany.
Do we have video of this?
No, you
No, but
can't.
we have Mannheim
No,
Steamroller
we-
music.
Oh, horrible.
The pictures are sensitive for trademark, so I couldn't pull those up. It wouldn't go through. So that's why we don't have any. But 1883 was the first one. The first color photograph was taken in 1906 of a girl in front of a 1902 Renault. And her father's truck or father's car.
French thing.
Was it called the Ooh La La?
No, but her name was Suzanne Lemire, and she was the daughter of Louis Lemire, and it was his own Renault, an 8 horsepower car, and he did it for
Who knew?
a photograph. So
Oh, Renault knew.
Renault knew. So that's where the calendars started, and this actually is my version of a 2024 calendar. Check this out. These are the January through February. There you go. There's the first one.
Oh,
That's
it's a Tesla on
January.
fire.
It's January.
No, it's a Jaguar on fire.
Yeah, it's that's January, and then here we got February coming up.
Yeah,
February's a good
see,
month.
Let's see February.
There's February.
Oh my God! Is that another Tesla?
Yeah, well, I just put electric, and there's another one that's March.
Where's
March
Buzz?
is a good one.
Uh-huh.
There you go.
These cars are all on fire. If you're just listening and
Yeah,
not
these cars are
watching.
burning to the ground. There's one that is good. April, I believe. That's April, and of course, my month for May would be this one. You know, you're out in front of the house and you look out and boom, your car's on fire.
Uh-huh. And the fire department pulls up and you go, "What's the big hubbub about?" Wait a minute, that's my car.
And I think there's a Porsche, and then I think there's a Range Rover behind it, but
Uh-huh.
no flames or anything. No one was hurt in any of these. So there you go. There's a good one there.
Oh,
That's a good one. I think that's June.
Is that that's June?
June. There's
And
July.
there's August.
But it goes on. So these were my collection of what a calendar should look like.
Well, that one there's
for
burning down the tree.
2024. There you go.
I
There's
love
one.
it.
Yep.
What a,
You can get this at any of your Amazons
By the
or
way,
Walmarts.
here's
or
what I'm
whatever.
thinking: is that we'll all chip in $10 a piece, give you enough money to go and get these published.
Publish, yeah.
Yeah, and so
Oh, yeah,
it'll
you
be the In Wheel Time 2024 wall calendar.
Yeah.
You can send off and get calendars created.
Oh, yeah,
Pretty
you
cheap.
can. You can.
Yeah, well, there are the pictures. I
So
love
it's that
that.
time of year to get all that information into your publisher and all that stuff to do that.
Huh. What a great idea, David.
Barbecue.
Barbecues.
Barbecue.
Barbecue
it's- it is-
calendar.
it is
there
the-
you go.
EVBQ.
Yeah, there you go.
EVBQ. By the way,
EVBQ.
and I've got a story about it, that big ship, they're thinking, imagine this, that it was an electric car that caused the big fire that ruined
Was the one
all
I did the report on?
the 4,000
Yeah.
cars
Yeah.
that were on the carrier.
Oh, well.
And it seemed as though, and I'll read the story, but it seems as though they put the electric cars up on the top shelf in the ship. Well, down it went through the.
They're going to have to change their way. They're going to have to do them in submarines, so it's easy to put them out. Just pull the plug.
Either that or have them implode.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. That was kind of
Oh,
insensitive,
yeah.
wasn't it? I didn't mean to be insensitive.
Well, do you
at all.
know that there was a pool on the Titanic when it
A swimming pool?
swimming pool. And do you know to this day there's still water in that swimming pool?
Is there still people swimming in it?
By the way, just to let everybody know, Jeff just got back from the UP.
Show us your T-shirt, Jeff.
Oh, the T-shirt, yeah.
Tell us what it is.
Can you see it?
Firehouse Cannabis Company. Yeah.
The fire station, locally owned cannabis company,
there you go.
locally owned and operated.
They're all
fire
over
station.
Wisconsin and Michigan and Ohio and all that.
Uh-huh.
It's like
The only fire station that promotes
promotes
smoke.
fire. Well, there's also a lot of Smokey the Bear stuff, to be honest with you, prevent forest fires because it is a beautiful nature.
Of course, Smokey the Bear. They have cocaine sharks. They might as well have Smokey the Bear.
Cocaine sharks. That's right. I remember that story. You know that story, David?
No, I don't know this one.
There's so much cocaine floating around in the Caribbean from the drug runners pitching it off the back of their boats. The sharks are eating it.
The sharks are
Is
eating
this a
it.
true story?
This is a true
It's supposed
story.
to be a true
Yeah.
story.
Allegedly. It's like Bigfoot.
So do they get
Makes it-
addicted in?
It makes
Do they need more?
makes their lips numb.
And they swim really, really fast.
Are they chasing the other boats to get more cocaine?
Do you know what
Apparently so.
Do you know
kind
what
of like
the-
whale watching?
the soft tissue between a shark's teeth, you know what that is? Slow swimmer.
Slow swimmer. We're back.
Don't forget to tip your waitress.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we'll be here all day.
How was your trip to the
It was
UP?
awesome. It was great.
Did
the
you
girls
enjoy it?
did a great planning job. It was every day it was something different. Every day it was a new experience. A lot of
Did
photographs.
you go to Mackinac Island?
Went to Mackinac. Well, we didn't go to the island. We just went across the bridge, and then we went up to Marquette and just stayed up in that area in the Superior.
Well, I'll tell you what. We went.
Great.
David, of course, we've already talked about this. Had a great time up at David's cabin in the UP on Peck Bay.
That's on the east side, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
On the Huron side.
on the
Yeah.
Huron side, and it's just absolutely stunningly beautiful. Everything about it was just tremendous, and we're hoping that David will invite Leslie and I back again.
Hint, hint, hint.
And
If he brings the wine and steak, he's welcome back, right?
That's, absolutely.
you know, we didn't have any steaks, I don't think, did we?
That's
No.
why you got to bring
We had
a
a
Just had
hamburger.
alcohol.
A state of alcohol. We had that. Yeah, a great time. Beautiful water. Just the whole
clear. Oh my God,
the
it was
whole
clear.
thing is just absolutely stunningly beautiful.
Blue water.
And I'd heard of the UP of Michigan, but never had any idea.
Youper. You're a Youper, don't you
It's
know?
a, yeah, huh?
Youper.
Youper. You betcha.
And of course, we all started talking like that once we got up there. You know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
people do talk like that.
And it does. It all kind of comes back, doesn't it?
Lake Superior is the largest of the five lakes. It's also the deepest. It's the coldest. As the year goes by, from January to December, the water temperature only changes 4 degrees plus or minus.
Oh, wow.
Because it's so cold in one end and so warm at the other. Where we were at in Marquette, that area, that bay, freezes 3 to 4 feet
Oh,
Thick.
yeah.
thick. And they go out and
So
they
you-
ice fish. And there are
Car
32,000
races on it.
miles of snow machine or snowmobile trails. There's hundreds of miles of hiking, rock climbing, biking.
Don't give it all away. We'll
Oh, my
talk
God.
more. We got 3 hours to
I
go.
got pictures.
Hey,
Not
the
here.
In Will Time Car Talk Show is available 24/7 through the iHeartRadio app. Just look for In Will Time Car Talk. We also video stream on Facebook, YouTube, and InWheelTime.com, and podcasts are at your fingertips and over a dozen of the most popular podcast outlets. The In Will Time Car Talk Show continues right after this quick break. Everyone at the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy, thank you for participating in the best cruise in around and look forward to seeing you again. You'll hear about the next cruise in date right here on In Wheel Time. Next time you're in the West Houston Energy Corridor area, be sure and stop in at the original Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex at I-10 and Highway 6 or the Katy location on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard. When passing through Beaumont or College Station, stop in and have Lupi's award-winning beef fajitas and frozen margaritas. There's always a celebration at Lupi Tortilla. Lupi Tortilla founder Stan Holt and his wife Sheila are winning racers on the NHRA drag racing circuit and have a collection of hot rods and classics that everyone appreciates. Look for them at the next Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In. The date will be announced soon and will once again be held at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex on 99 and Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10 and Katy. We'll give you all the details right here on the In Real Time Car Talk Show and online. Donations benefit God's Garage. We'll see you then. You own a car you love. Well, why not let Gulf Coast Auto Shield protect it? Houstonian John Gray invites you to his state-of-the-art facility to introduce you to his specialist team of auto enthusiasts. We promise you'll be impressed. Whether you're looking to massage your original paint to a like-new appearance, apply a ceramic coating, install a paint protection film, nano-ceramic window tint, or new windshield protection called ExoShield, Gulf Coast Auto Shield is where Houston's car people go. Curbed your wheels? Instead of buying new, why not have them repaired? How about a professionally installed radar detector? Gulf Coast Auto Shield does that too. Get a peek inside the shop and look at the services offered by getting online and heading to gcautoshield.com. Better yet, stop by their facility at 11275 South Sam Houston Tollway, just south of the Southwest Freeway, and get a personal tour. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your place to go for all things exterior. Call them today, 832-930-5655 or gcautoshield.com. The award-winning In Wheel Time Car Talk Show is available on the most popular podcast channels out there in 30-minute episodes. We realize our 3-hour live show can be difficult to catch in its entirety, so now you can listen every day to a convenient, fresh 30-minute episode. Check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Audible, along with a dozen more. In Wheel Time has the most informative automotive guest interviews and new car reviews, along with popular features including Conrad's Car Clinic and This Week in Auto History, along with automotive news headlines. Our live broadcast airs every Saturday, 8 to 11 Central on InWheelTime.com, the iHeart app, and on YouTube. Be sure to say hello when we're broadcasting from the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise Inn, Autorama, and the Houston Auto Show, among others. Now, it's easier than ever to hear about all things automotive all week long. You're invited to join fellow car enthusiasts in becoming part of the ever-growing In Wheel Time Car Talk family. Don't forget those 30-minute podcast episodes on your favorite podcast channel. Live from Studio A, it's the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. And coming up, Lena Bourgeois from Equifax. Credit score impact on car insurance.
Yeah,
we hope to talk to
wow.
her about that because I'm certainly interested. We all should be interested in that. Had no clue. Conrad is going to have the In Wheel Time Car Clinic. I'll bring you this week's auto news. Howdy. Along with David Ainsley. Thank you, David. Thank you, David, so much for coming in.
God bless you, my friend. Little Timmy.
I came for Kalachi, so.
Yeah, well, and you got
Oh, that's why I got the emergency call at 4:30 this morning.
exactly. We have King Conrad DeLong here with us, and fresh back from vacation in
Fresh
the
back.
UP of Michigan.
Call me fresh back.
Is
Or UP.
we always need more Jeff Zekin.
Uper.
I'm Don Armstrong. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Uper.
Yeah, it's the Uper. It was a great time for us up there the week that David invited Leslie and I up there. Absolutely stunning and beautiful, and we had so much fun. So laid back and
A lot
just
of history. Oh my God, the history from the settlements, the Indians, all that, the different tribes that were up there. And my cousin Doug just sent me a note saying that there are more shipwrecks in the Great Lakes or Superior than there are in the Bermuda Triangle.
I would
So
believe that.
That's
Well, they obviously there's a huge commerce part of vacationing up there because all of the iron ore and all of the rocks and all the stuff that they move across the lake, they do that up until the lake freezes and they
Right.
can't do it anymore.
Did the Edmund Fitzgerald go down in Superior?
Superior. It was November 10th, 1975, and that ship was actually built in 1958.
Yeah.
So it did have a bit of a longevity.
And it's down about 500 or so feet, just a little bit short of the total length of the ship. So when it went down, I read this, when it went down, it actually hit the bottom and the back end was still sticking up out of the lake, but it broke the front end of the ship
right.
off.
Broken in half, yeah.
Yeah.
It's 1,300 feet plus deep. It's actually 30 miles north of Marquette, where we were. Marquette's a beautiful town. Oh, it's like a cross between old Sugar Land and maybe New Braunfels. The cross section
nice.
of that. You walk up and down the streets. A lot of fairs and street.
So
things
sugar
going-
fills?
Street things going on. Yeah. It was
Yeah, well,
amazing.
the one thing that is easy to forget, especially when you're up there at this time of the year, is January and February.
Oh, the good point, because you say the locals. Well, not a lot of people are local. It is a university town. There is a college up there, so obviously they go to school. But the folks that are running these tourist events, they leave in the middle of October and they come back in May. So, and one of the boat captains that we took a cruise on, I go down to the port of Tampa and I work that for the winter, and he comes up and works.
It's funny because that's one of the things
Yeah.
that we learned when we were up there. We were talking to one of the waiters. Well, what do you do in the wintertime? Well, I'm down in Florida.
Yeah, or where Arizona
Snowbird,
or
yeah.
something like that.
And so they work up north in the summertime, and then they go down to Florida in the wintertime.
And I was born in Detroit, lived there 22 years, and then moved to Texas. But you never appreciate it until you're gone, and you go back there. We took my granddaughter, took Kylie there. She loved it. You end the trip of the year until next year, and then of course you save up and go to the next one.
Yeah.
We've already got plans for the next one. So.
Tons of
Very
fun.
cool.
Well, guess who's joined us? It's Lena Bourgeois with Equifax. And hi, Lena, how are you?
Hi, good morning. How's everyone doing?
Well, we're just great. We're just reminiscing about vacations. Where are you? Where are we speaking to you from?
I'm in Northern Virginia, about 15 miles outside of the city of DC. And so I live in a old kind of farm neighborhood called Franklin Farm, and it's a great place to raise a family. I got 3 kids, and I just came back from weighing in my son to play tackle football.
Oh, cool.
And,
All right.
he just made it. So
Awesome. How old is
had a good
he?
morning.
How old is
He's
he?
12.
12. Oh, my God, the perfect age.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, are you from that area originally?
I am not. I've been here for 18 years, so I believe this to be home. But I grew up in Europe, moved here in my mid-20s, and I lived a little bit all over the country, but 18 years so far here.
Well,
One spot.
I'll tell you this, that European accent is just killing me. That's all I can say. So, Lena, let's talk about Equifax, and it's a car credit reporting agency, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so you're one of what, 3 or 4 of them?
We are one of 3.
3.
One of the 3 major CRAs,
Yeah.
credit reporting agencies, and the oldest. We're a 180-year company. The
Oh,
one that
my.
started the Bureau business many years ago. We're based in Atlanta, Georgia, so we're a Southern company, and we love supporting automotive. I run the automotive business for Equifax now for the past 3.5 years, but been in the automotive space for almost 9 years now. So love the industry, and just blown away by just the ingenuity and the resilience of this economy, which is such a big influence in our world today.
So I think that the focus of our conversation was going to be on insurance and how your credit score affects how much you pay for car insurance. But I want to talk about all of it if we can in the next
Sure.
10, 15 minutes. So why is it important to have good credit?
Well, for many years now, and I should mention, when I first moved to this country, I did not realize how important credit was. But I started my life here in California, and as you know, you can't get anywhere in California without a car.
Correct.
So before I even got a place to live, I went to buy a car. And when I went to buy a car, I was looking at really nice cars, from my mid-20s in the, $15,000 to $20,000 a car, and I needed to finance it. I didn't have $20,000 cash sitting in my bank account,
Right.
so I needed to finance it. And they looked me up, and they had to, in order to finance, they have to pull a credit report to see how are you able to meet your financial obligations. If I'm going to lend you money and take that risk, I need to see what kind of risk you are in meeting your financial obligations. And because I hadn't lived here before, there was really no credit history on me, and I couldn't get a loan. So I had to downgrade my choice for a car. I bought a 1986 Toyota Tercel. It was $8,600 cash. It was a Coca-Cola red Toyota, 2-door, manual windows.
You were hot,
No
baby.
AC. Yeah, no AC. But that really struck me, like how important it is. You cannot get any financing without a credit report.
Right.
And more importantly, in this day and age, with prices and interest rates being so what they are, having good credit can really be a difference in hundreds of dollars of your payment for a car, for the same price car.
Okay.
So it's really important.
So how does that translate to car insurance?
So car insurance is a little different, and I run automotive and insurance for Equifax, but there are obviously a lot of linkage there. When you are buying a car, you have to also buy insurance for the car. And insurers also they don't look just at credit, they look at just, car history. If you've had a car before, how you treated the car. And so they look at a bigger part of your profile and making sure that you're also not going to be a risk, right? You're not going to go out in the first couple months, wreck your car, and then I have to, as an insurer, kind of cover for that. And I haven't recouped that from you as a consumer. Insurers look at different. We have an insurance score. So we've created scores specifically for different type of risk. So we obviously have mortgage scores, we have automotive scores, we have insurance scores, right? And so it's all about, risk, because as an insurer, you're looking to take on a consumer and you want to make sure, hey, this is going to be a good customer for me.
Profitable.
I'm not going to be underwater in this relationship. There's accidents. You can't predict that. And they do have models that allow them to balance, but they don't want to overstretch on the risk, because then they're not going to be able to be profitable, which is really, why they're in business. So all of that is important.
How about income and being able to not only have good credit to go out and buy let's just say a $50,000 EV today, how is that going to translate to my car insurance for a brand new car if I don't have good credit?
So if you're right now, we segment consumers into different, I would say, groups, and they range from deep subprime to very, very prime.
What does that mean? What does that mean? Deep subprime? Yeah.
Subprime is basically in the bracket that you are for your credit score. So credit scores go from 480 to 850, right?
Yeah.
And an 800 plus is super prime, meaning you have had a long-standing credit history, you have paid all your financial obligations on time, you are not over-leveraged with your credit, and you are an ideal, and they get the best loan terms, right? And they usually look very, they are almost a no questions asked type of insurer.
What are the percentages of people that have that ultra high score? I mean, are they like only 20% of the population, 10%? What are they?
Yeah, so there's about 5 buckets, right? And they are pretty well distributed, 20% in each bucket.
Interesting.
And so it's a broad spectrum, but we have invested quite a bit. You ask, how does income play in? So we've invested, Equifax has, in what we call alternative data. Now, credit is how we assess your credit score has to do with what the financial institutions report to us as your ability to meet those financial obligations. So they report trades basically on you. You have a credit card, this is your balance, this is your rolling balance, you've been able to pay, and that all information then put together in a composite score. The time and the length of history plays into your score that you get. The more history we have and the better that history is for meeting your financial obligation, the better your score is.
Well, I'm 100 years old, so how much history do you need?
Do you make your payments done?
Most lenders look at least 5 to 10 years. But what I was going to say is you have a lot of young consumers, students that are coming out. They haven't worked too much. They haven't had a chance to take out many credit cards or a significant loan to show that they can pay. So they what we call thin file or no credit consumers. And what we've done is we've actually brought in all other alternative data to assess risk. So for instance, most kids out there or students or young professionals have paid a cell phone for many years, right?
Yep.
And they probably maybe also paid for cable, for utilities, right? And we are now taking all of that information in. So lenders now have much broader sense. And what we are able to do with that data is we can actually risk assess 16% more consumers and get to a yes, basically get them to be able to get loans and get insurance 16% more often than they did without that information. And that's really kind of transformative, because those are the consumers like I was when I came to this country, right? They're the ones that truly need it, right? Is the people that are in the lower end, the subprime and the, deep subprime, the ones that are usually paying higher interest rates for their loans. With that data, they're now able to get better loans, better terms. They're able to actually get a loan in the first place and start building their credit. And as you build your credit, then it gets improved if you do really well on those loans. So we've done a lot to help consumers. We have a big mission at Equifax to help consumers live their financial best, meaning, we want everybody to have access to loans, access to credits. We want them to get the best terms. And in automotive right now, because of interest rates being what they are, it has a huge impact in their ability to afford.
Well, also the price of the car, and that's I want to talk to you about that. Yeah. How does the price of a car figure into a credit score? I know that the better the credit score, chances are I can buy a more expensive car. And I think that a lot of people are doing that these days and getting upside down in payments and what the car is worth. And it just is a big ball once you get down the road 3 or 4 or 5 years and you go, okay, well, I'm ready to trade my car in or sell my car. Now my car isn't worth as much as it was when it was new. And now I have no equity in the car to be able to transfer that to another down payment. How does all of that play?
That's a great question. So most people believe that, as you know, average car price is now around $750, and 2 years ago that was under $500.
Right. If you're talking about monthly payments.
Monthly payments, yes. $750.
Wow.
In the last year, there has been a huge increase in car payments over $1,000. Right.
I can see that.
$1,100.
Wow.
Yep. Yes. We have looked at that segment of consumers, and you said they're usually prime consumers because they are the ones that can afford the car in the first place.
Right.
So we get at least, but what we've seen is that they're not that risky, honestly, and that lenders should not, be too concerned about putting those consumers on their portfolio, meaning to lend to them, because these guys, even though their payment used to be $750 or $800 before, they have the ability to stretch to $1,100 because they don't have a choice today. They have to take that out, and they're able to make it. They're also not the ones concerned about the equity in their car. They already knew going in that they probably overpaid for their car. They were willing to do so. They got the best terms possible to make the payment. And you know what? They're going to hold on to that car. Most of us don't buy a car for equity, to grow equity, but what I think what's going to happen in the industry is that car prices are going to stabilize, but I don't think that manufacturers, lenders, and dealers have come to, get used to a certain level, and consumers have been conditioned to pay
more and more every year,
MSRP or more. And so I think that over time it might balance, but by then, this whole cycle would have come around, and it wouldn't have been. You're not going to see consumers in cars that are thousands of dollars undervalued, and that's not going to really hurt them financially because they're going to hold on to their cars. They might hand it over to their, son or daughter, or.
Now I got all of that, but here's my issue: is paying for a car $1,000 a month for 8 years. I'm sorry, I got a little problem with that.
Yeah, and my question would be the subprime and the prime, but there's two levels of the prime because you've got a person of wealth that will go out and buy a vehicle. They know they can afford it, so they're going to go out and buy what they want. They're either going to draft it or pay cash, or if they do finance it, it's only going to be for a short term, like a year, and then pay it off. So those are the advantages of the folks with wealth and the prime, but there's other folks that try to build that from the subprime up to the prime by paying their bills.
Right. So you're absolutely right. What we've seen is the super prime, they take on the loan because, they get some incentive associated with it potentially, and then they pay it off within 6 months to 18 months, and they pay it off. Right. And then you have subprime that are, really hurting. What we've seen, though, is that subprime consumer in the last year or two have been, taking themselves out of market, meaning they're holding off on actually purchasing cars right now because they don't want to be stretching that far because they can't, or they don't want to be underwater and they think cars are overpriced, or the used car market is still not as healthy as it needs to be from an inventory. So they're waiting for those cars to come back into the market. So unless they're absolutely forced to, they've really taken themselves out of the market right now.
Okay, so what can a consumer do to increase their credit score? Let's say I'm a mid 40s, early 50s consumer, and I've got 15, 20 different credit cards, and as I pay them off, is it my benefit to increase my score to pay them off and close the account, or just to pay them off and leave that open available credit limit on that card? How does that work?
It's a great question. We get a lot of that now because of interest rate being so high. People want to know can I improve, because it makes such a big impact on their ability to get better interest rates and better payments. 15 credit cards are way too much. Even 10 are way too much. Even 7 are too many. What you want to do is have enough information, enough credit history, meaning you would have, maybe 2, maybe 3 cards, so you can show that you can meet your financial obligations. But when you reach a certain number of credit cards, then it looks more like you're trying to split. You overextended because you're trying to afford more than buy more than you can afford, and you kind of spreading it across, 10, 15 cards, and that doesn't look good on your history, because what you don't want is too many open balances and too much,
debt,
available credit.
Well, also you don't want to look like because a lender is going to look at that and say, well, if he has to pay off 10 credit cards, and then I add the loan to the auto, if anything happens, what's he going to pay
What's
first?
he going to prioritize?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I have to give you an example. So when I was on vacation a month ago, I will tell you I lost my only credit card. So I wound up with half of my vacation with no credit card. So what I did was when I got back, I got that card replaced, and then I opened up a new card, which I have not done in years and years and years. How does something like that affect your credit score?
If you only have the one and you open another one, it helps your credit score.
Okay, good.
Right? It helps your credit score as long as you pay off the card. I'll tell you, paying the minimums are probably not the right thing to do, but paying off more or paying all of it off every month helps your credit score incredibly, because that's a rolling, payment that you're making every month, and it looks great on your credit file.
That's good to know. Okay, before we run out of time, I want to ask you credit finance trends for EV shoppers versus gasoline engine vehicles.
Yes.
Let's talk about that for a second.
Let's talk about that. It's a hot topic. There's been a lot of conversation, but they are very much the prime consumer. Okay, these are the guys that have, the higher end scores. They're also on the higher end income and socioeconomic segment, and that's really where we see that, and they're the ones buying EVs today.
Yep.
And it has to do a little bit not only about them maybe being in the right socioeconomic, but it's really the prices of the car. EVs are still more of a luxury car kind of option, and that's why that kind of falls to that segment. As we see EVs go down market and they get into the smaller car, more
more affordable cars, yes.
More affordable. You'll see more consumers, you'll see that distribution be a lot more spread. But right now, it's usually 750 or higher in credit score. And their average payments are over $1,000.
And this is more than once now that you've said 750 on a credit score. It seems to me that seems to be the cutoff between subprime and prime.
It is it's basically prime. So 750 to 800. 850 are really prime consumers, and then it goes all the way down to 640, and you're still prime. It's really under 640 that you start looking at near prime, subprime, and then 540 and below is like deep subprime.
That's the roach.
That's bad. So, what do you see things? How do you see things in the next year as far as credit and credit scores?
What happened over after the pandemic with the stimulus, the average credit score went up 40 points.
Wow, that's a lot.
So what happened is, and it was primarily in that subprime space. They were the ones that were most of the recipients of the stimulus. And when they didn't have anything to go out and spend that money on, they basically paid off their debt. And when you pay off your debt, your credit score goes up. And so they were really coming out of the pandemic in 22. They entered the market and they were huge huge consumer in the auto industry. And so now we're seeing how they play out, but that hasn't come down. It has stayed. And so if delinquencies hold and if these subprime consumers are able to manage their payments for the car, they are going to continue to move up the credit band. And so we're seeing a positive movement of subprime improving their credit scores because of the stimulus and what happened after the pandemic.
If I want a road to go to improve my credit, is there somebody or some place that I can call and get help and some guidance as to, for instance, through Equifax, and get them to help me learn and go in a certain route to improve my credit?
Absolutely. I would recommend going to the CRAs. Come to Equifax's website, equifax.com, and ask and do information about my credit score. There is a full part of our website, FAQs, frequently asked questions, how to improve, a number to call to get a free credit report. Every year, a consumer is eligible for a free credit report on themselves. If they see anything that they don't know what it is or that looks off and they don't recall that ever being part of they can call an 800 number and get that investigated and search and to understand. Understanding your credit score is really, really important. What's happened though, and I want to call this out specifically, there's a lot of other third-party organizations that offer information about your credit score. And all these apps to look up your credit score and stuff. Some of that information can be misleading. They are not credit reporting agencies. And so they are not the ones holding this information and are not regulated and supervised and governed the way we are. And so that can create a lot of confusion and misinformation with consumers. So I really recommend go to the Equifax website or any of the three top credit bureaus. We have all the information, and it is what matters. That is the accurate.
Is there any truth to that? When you get your credit checked often, that can drive the number down?
Yes, there is that perception, and we answer this question almost the most frequently asked question. Like, I don't want you to pull my credit score. But here's what happens when you're shopping for a car or you're shopping for a house. You usually do that over a very short period of time. And if there is a number of credit scores within a 30 to 45 day time period, it only counts as one, because we know that is because you're shopping for the one thing, right? Okay. It's not like you're shopping for multiple. It's like you're in market and you're looking for a house, or you're looking for a car, and you have multiple dealers pulling your credit score. It doesn't hurt or negatively impact your score. It's just when that happens month over month, then it does look a little weird. In fact, it might be fraud. And so we might flag you and say, what's happening here? So that's something to manage. But if it's happening within a short period of time, like a month, it really does not impact your credit score.
Lena, you have been an absolute world of knowledge, and we certainly appreciate you. You're a joy to talk to, and thanks so much. And let's check in soon, maybe within the next year, so my credit score goes down and up or whatever it needs to do.
Yes. Thank you so much for your time, and I appreciate it. And have a great morning.
Thank you. You too. Yeah, absolutely wonderful interview. Okay, the In Real Time Car Talk Show continues right after a quick break. Everyone at the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In at the Lupe Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy, thank you for participating in the best cruise in around, and look forward to seeing you again. You'll hear about the next cruise in date right here on In Real Time. Next time you're in the West Houston Energy Corridor area, be sure and stop in at the original Lupe Tortilla Tex-Mex at I-10 and Highway 6, or the Katy location on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard. When passing through Beaumont or College Station, stop in and have Lupe's award-winning beef fajitas and frozen margaritas. There's always a celebration at Lupe Tortilla. Lupe Tortilla founder Stan Holt and his wife Sheila are winning racers on the NHRA drag racing circuit and have a collection of hot rods and classics that everyone appreciates. Look for them at the next Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In. The date will be announced soon and will once again be held at the Lupe Tortilla Tex-Mex on 99 and Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10 and Katy. We'll give you all the details right here on the In Real Time Car Talk Show and online. Donations benefit God's Garage. We'll see you then. You own a car you love. Well, why not let Gulf Coast Auto Shield protect it? Houstonian John Gray invites you to his state-of-the-art facility to introduce you to his specialist team of auto enthusiasts. We promise you'll be impressed. Whether you're looking to massage your original paint to a like-new appearance, apply a ceramic coating, install a paint protection film, nano-ceramic window tint, or new windshield protection called ExoShield, Gulf Coast Auto Shield is where Houston's car people go. Curbed your wheels? Instead of buying new, why not have them repaired? How about a professionally installed radar detector? Gulf Coast Auto Shield does that too. Get a peek inside the shop and look at the services offered by getting online and heading to gcautoshield.com. Better yet, stop by their facility at 11275 South Sam Houston Tollway, just south of the Southwest Freeway, and get a personal tour. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your place to go for all things exterior. Call them today, 832-930-5655 or gcautoshield.com. From Studio A, inside the world-famous Sugar Shack in Texas, USA, it's the In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Coming up, Shay Manowar, Anderson Economics, the cost of gasoline-powered vehicles versus EVs. We'll also have the upcoming events calendar. Mars reviews the new Mercedes-Benz G:E, sometimes known as the GLE 450. Plus, you'll hear the stories making automotive news headlines. Howdy. Along with David Ainsley, who is filling in for the COVID-infected Mike Mars. Conrad DeLong, who's taking a quick break outside. You know what that's about. We always need more Jeff Zekin.
We do.
I'm Don Armstrong. Glad you could join us today. Let's continue on our quest for economic knowledge.
What?
Shall we? Yeah. Well, I mean, we had the
I'm not
Equifax lady
prepared for
on.
that.
Well, I'm not either because I really don't know what to ask. Shay Manowar, good morning.
Good morning, guys.
Hey,
what a crew.
Thanks so much for joining us. I'm sorry, what were you going to say?
No, I was saying, I mean, I remember our CEO, Patrick Anderson, was over last year, I believe, and then he reminded me of the great crew you guys are.
Well, thank you very much. We appreciate
You
that.
can pick a calendar up on your way out.
Yeah, calendar. Jeff had a feature on calendars, and all of the pictures of every month of the calendar had a electric car or some kind of car that was on fire. So there you go. There's that.
Yeah. No, It's not just the car; it's the entire ship nowadays.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So let's talk about the actual cost to have a vehicle that has a gasoline engine in it versus a comparable car on the EV side. How do those things play out when it comes to the actual cost that it's cost? I go to the grocery store and I fill up my tank with gasoline once a week, and it costs me $40. How does that compare to an EV?
Look, there are a lot of inputs that go into the way we calculate fuel costs.
Okay.
And the most important factor as of this point is when we compare the costs, the size of the infrastructure that fuels these vehicles, EVs and ICE vehicles, internal combustions, play a big role. So if you're going to a grocery store and you see a number of gas stations to fuel a car, compared to when you have an EV and trying to figure out where those charging stations are, these inputs do matter. And then as of right now, based on the infrastructure that we have for typical Americans, it favors internal combustion engines that we typically be driving for decades now. So many of the segments that we look at, be it entry price, be it mid price, be it luxury price, it tends to favor those drivers who are driving internal combustion engine cars compared to EV. And that's what we have been noticing every quarter. And if we do every year, we look at that too. And then it also depends on the gas prices, energy prices, and other factors too. So, but that's changing every quarter now that we are looking at new EV models coming in and how the gas price, energy prices are playing out. So,
well, I know that I have got to change my way of thinking because I'm old school, and all I know is price per gallon and how many miles I can go on a gallon of gasoline. That's my basic.
So, yeah, is there anybody that's doing that calculation for the consumer cost per mile of operation. Not price per gallon or anything, but cost per mile of operation, because that's got to be the final comparison. Is how much does it cost me to operate an EV per mile? How much does it cost me to operate an ICE engine for a mile?
Yeah, so we have been doing it since 2021, Anderson Economic Group, and we have been advising the auto industry stakeholders for nearly 25 plus years. And then a couple of years ago, we started looking at some of the data that directly impacts how the fuel costs play out for consumers. For instance, the entry price cars. Look at, be it EVs or ICE. When we look at the data for the first half of the year, we found that if you're driving an entry price like Hyundai or Toyota or Ford, you're paying about 9.78 per 100 miles compared to when you drive an EV. That goes up a little bit. What that means is that if you're relying on an EV, you might end up paying a little bit more out of pocket for about 100 purposeful miles driven. What that means is that maybe you're driving a car that is depending on an infrastructure, or that relies on infrastructure that is not there yet.
It doesn't exist, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we have seen a lot of positivity around it. There are a lot of positive factors playing a part. I mean, we have been looking at how consumers would benefit from an increase in infrastructure.
Yeah, and there's a lot of negatives too, because you get to a lot of these charging locations and they don't work, or they've got 8 plug-in places and 7 of them don't work, and there's a line of 15, 20 cars for the one that does. And I know they're trying to increase the number of charging stations around the country. It seems like Tesla's doing the best job of it, but not everybody can charge at a Tesla charging station.
And not everybody can afford a Tesla, let alone charging it.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I will tell you that one of the factors for me is, and I've said this from the beginning, is that sure is a whole lot easier for me to go and get gasoline in my car, even though that it's empty and it has a 15-gallon tank. It takes me about 3 minutes to put 15 gallons worth of gas in my car, as opposed to, getting an 80% charge on my EV that's going to take me at least 30 minutes out of my day. I don't have time for that. Plus, I've got to find a place that I can get an EV charge if it's away from the house, and I've only got 110 volts going to the car overnight.
And then there's the guy, the guy in Canada that just made all the news. He went out and bought his $115,000 Lightning, and then spent like $12,000 putting in a level 2 charger at his house and a level 2 charger at work. And then he was trying to make a cross country, though it's cross Canada, I'll give you that, trip. And about halfway through the trip, he said, forget this, and got rid of his Lightning and bought an ICE-powered vehicle and finished his trip, because there was just no infrastructure within Canada. And I don't really believe there's a great enough infrastructure in the United States to make those cross-country trips efficiently.
But Shay, I'm sure that you know all of this, and the fact of the matter is, and I read this all the time, I haven't actually seen it, but there are more and more charging stations every day coming online, and from the rate that they're going with the charging stations, that eventually it's going to catch up to the need, and it's going to be kind of a wash in that area.
I think that's a pretty good point, and I think that would happen. I mean, I've been seeing those in probably more around urban communities.
Of course, yes.
I've been traveling a lot lately. I was in Arizona, and then New York, and I do see that in densely populated urban communities, you do see that infrastructure. But then when we look at an overall EV transition, we're not just nitpicking certain communities. We're talking about the entire country as a whole. And that's where I believe the transition might look different for certain regions, certain states, and even within states. For instance, Michigan. I mean, a lot of the Michigan is based on tourism. I mean, it's a state that is, even though densely populated around Detroit, but then a lot of folks coming into Michigan, they travel up north. And then we looked at the charging infrastructure in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, and there were hardly any. What that means is a family, for instance, family like myself, who have a toddler. I mean, if I'm planning to go on a trip, even if I have an EV, I may decide to still take my minivan that I know that if something happens, I don't have to worry about figuring out how to charge my car so that I can bring my family back home. And these are the things that kind of play out in consumer psyche. And we do see that every quarter when we look at the sales data. I look at data nearly every day, and I do see that some of the popular domestic brands, such as Ford Mach-E, had few good quarters, and their numbers went down. So that doesn't mean that when you launch a new EV model, the sales gonna pick up right away. I need to see if my neighbors is driving that car, and then I need to hear what the stories they have, and then if they're having any issues. And at this point of time, a typical American do not see their neighbors left or right driving an EV. Once that happens, we would see we would see a culture that start to embrace EV from a consumer perspective, not just from.
And then on top of that, how much of the EV infrastructure is being supported by the U.S. taxpayer when the government's trying to force EVs on everybody, so they're taking money from everybody to push them into the electric vehicle category. And at some point, that's got to shut down as well because, I'd like to believe we only have so much money the government can give away. They haven't figured that out in Washington, D.C. yet because they continue to just give away without any consequence. But, at some point that's got to stop, that the government's funding the infrastructure rebuild of the EV charging stations.
You know what? My understanding is at the end of the day, all the costs that we talk about, at the end of the day, it's paid by consumers. I mean, if you look at the average transaction price of a new vehicle, before around pandemic, it was about like $35,000 a unit. Now it's about touching $50,000 a unit. So, and something that your previous guest was talking about. I mean, it's not that you decide that you're going to buy an EV regardless who's paying it or how it's getting subsidized. At the end of the day, if your financial needs are not able to meet the requirements of an EV purchase, you're not going to buy it. Or even if you buy it, you also have to look at the time cost that's needed to learn about that new technology, and you think if it's a good fit for the family or not. So these are the things that I believe consumers tend to rely on much before they decide if the government has any part to play or how manufacturers are thinking about the EV transition. At the end of the day, car is one of the big ticket items that people, when decide to purchase, they look at their budget constraints, they talk about it with their spouses, they look at the family structure and the infrastructure around their neighborhood. For example, not everybody live in a nice garage or in a nice subdivision. You have apartments where you don't have much control over how to park, where to park, and type of infrastructure around the parking lot. And I do see that at least in Michigan a lot. I mean, I live very close to a college campus. And if we need to push that EV transition, I do not see many newer generation may be able to afford an EV or have an infrastructure where they can charge a car and still go to school. So these are the few things that play a big role. And I can always remind myself about how I started to buy new cars or used cars when I was in college, and then in my 20s and looking at the credit score, it took me years to get to that 750 range, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, I will tell you that I did read something here just recently about the early adopter kind of theory that is proven fact. You come out with a new car, there's going to be that group of people that are all going to go and buy that car. Mm-hmm. Let's just take the Corvette Z06, for instance. There's one, or just the C8 Corvette, the brand new Corvette. Sales out the wazoo, people lined up for them, paying over MSRP by a whopping amount of money. Well, that's kind of trailed off now that the car's been on the market for a few years. Mm-hmm. And the same thing is going to hold true with the Z06. any other kind of specialty cars that Detroit comes out with, or any global manufacturer comes out with. And I think that there has been an upsurge in the EV take-home rate, if you will, in the past, few years.
As the new ones are announced.
Right, and as the availability becomes more and more, that seems to have trailed off. And the Mustang Mach-E is a perfect example of that. It's known fact that sales are down from what they originally were when the car came on the market.
Yep.
And so I think that there's always going to be that segment. I got a brand new EV. I worked with a guy. He went out and bought a new EV a couple of years ago. He loves it. He swears by it. He does take it back and forth to San Antonio on occasions, but not always.
Right.
It's mainly a commuter car for him to go from the apartment back.
And that
to,
works for him
to
that
work.
way.
And it works for him that way. And but that is a hefty price to pay for a commuter car when you can buy a commuter car. Let's say, for instance, an entry-level car that has a high mileage rating, 30, 40 miles per gallon to take back and forth to work, and you're not really too concerned about the luxury aspect of it. You want to save money going back and forth to work. So that is all, I think, eventually going to balance itself out. They're coming out with brand new EVs that are $200,000 and more. These new manufacturers, Rivian, for example.
Well, Cadillac just announced the Celeste, Celestiq, or whatever
Yeah,
they're going to call it.
Celestiq. Yeah, that's going to start at $230,000.
Which
Are
I
you
recommend
kidding?
one for everyone.
Everyone, I think, they should get
And
one.
Mary Barra still makes $29 million a year.
When I was up there, we voted her a new raise. We got her a raise.
That's good. Well, I know that
I had a chance to see some of these models. I mean, Detroit. In Detroit, there's an auto show that happens every year.
Yes.
It's amazing. I mean, I'm glad that it was back after a little break because of the COVID. And I sat in. So there were quite a few EVs on display, such as Chevy Equinox EV, and it looked very nice. Even though I was not able to go and sit in the car. I mean, you can sit in those ICE vehicles, but not in EV when they were displayed. But I mean, it did capture the audience attention, I must say. But then going back to the point that, we need more crossovers in EV segment. There's not enough right now. Mach-E, and then there are a few others too. But then the big three needs to pump up more crossovers and even trucks, because those are the two most popular segments that we've been seeing for nearly 4 or 5 years in terms of number of units sold.
Well, I will tell you that, believe me, the car manufacturers are well aware of your thought, and they are pumping them out as quickly as they can from the blueprints and getting them up in the manufacturing.
But the price
segment.
point of the ones that they're releasing are all 100,000 plus. Look at the Hummer.
And that's what he's talking about.
Yeah. The Lightning is, you got to pay top dollar to get one.
Yeah. If I were going to offer anybody a suggestion, I would say, if you want the best of both worlds, go and get yourself a hybrid that's got an ICE engine and battery, and it's going to go a lot further than it ever has in your life before, and you've got the reliability of an ICE engine and don't have to worry about going and getting a charge.
Running out of charge.
Yeah. So there's that.
And that's a pretty good use. Sorry to cut you guys, but that's a pretty good use story for manufacturers. For instance, Toyota. I mean, there's a reason why they're a little behind in terms of big announcements, is because they learned a lot, many lessons when they had their hybrid and plug-in hybrid. So my understanding is once they decide to add new models in their lineup, EV models, they may address many of the consumer needs compared to other manufacturers who may not have the luxury of trying out hybrids or plug-in hybrids in their lineup 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago.
Right. And they've proven themselves with the Prius over a long period of time to be a very effective hybrid vehicle.
Shay, it's great to talk to you. I'm sorry, go ahead. You had one more thing to say?
And then having a nameplate that's something that stays in consumers' head for a few decades now. I mean, having a nameplate, it matters a lot. I mean, the reason why Toyota has Corolla in nearly every segment now, from hatchback to sedan to even crossover, because that's playing consumer psyche. And I think this is some of the most important factor that Ford may have realized with Mach-E, but other manufacturers have to look at that too.
Well, Shay, it's great to talk to you, and we thank you so much for joining us today. Appreciate you.
Have a good weekend.
Thank you. Shay Manowar with the Anderson Economic Group. Okay, time now for the events calendar. Not the cruise in, not the racing, but the events calendar. That would be car shows.
Mustang Club of Houston, we just talked to Werner. October 7th is going to be their fall open car show at Planet Ford in spring. October 14th is the all British car show at the Butler House off of Gosling Road of 99. And you know why they chose the Butler House? Because there's a big collection of wreckers all around there to move those British cars around. October 28th, the 38th annual Wolf Creek Car Show and Bike in Cold Spring, Texas. Saturday, August 12th, is Cypress Cars and Coffee, their back-to-school drive. That's tomorrow. Actually, that's today. Lone Star Drift Round 4 is August 19th at Motorsports Resort in Angleton. Saturday, September 16th, is the Schulenburg Take Flight Cruise, leaving from Buc-ee's in Waller. Lone Star Drift Round 3 at the Houston Police Academy is September 23rd. Then again, we talked to the Northside Mustang is having their fall open car show November 4th as well, and that'll be at the Bull Salas Park in New Caney. And finally, Saturday, October 28th, Oak Turbo Fest at the Kareem Shriners in Waco, Texas.
All right.
Let's go there. That'd be a fun little road trip.
That'd be a happy
All right,
place.
time now for this hour's car review. Even though Mr. Mars is not with us today in the studio, he managed to supply us with a car review of the Mercedes-Benz G:E, which we think we're deciphering it would be the GLE 450. So here is Mr. Mars with this week's car review.
Recently, I had the opportunity to spend a week behind the wheel of the 2024 Mercedes-Benz GLE 450 4MATIC. Now, 4MATIC's a really cool way of saying that this is an all-wheel drive vehicle. Now, it is a mid-sized luxury SUV that seats 5, unless you have the optional third row package, which we happen to have. I like 5. I like the extra room for the cargo and stuff in the back, but if you need a little more space, there is an optional to get it. In fact, we had several different package options on this vehicle, such as the night package option. So what that does, it gives the black grille trim, the side mirrors are blacked out, the roof rails, we got a little black on the wheels to kind of give it a little more sporty look. In fact, we also have the AMG Live exterior. Now, this is some AMG styling pieces that are brought over onto this vehicle as part of an option package. We had the LED lighting, so we got LED up front, we got the tail lights, we got the turn signals. We had the soft closed doors, which I thought was really cool. Worked well, particularly with the acoustic package that we had to add some deadening sound on the glass as well as an extra insulation. Had a panoramic sunroof, and we had those 21-inch AMG blacked wheels on it that were really set it off with the gray paint that we had. Now, on the interior, we get into some really nice stuff in here. We had leather seating surfaces, and again, we had that third row option. The front seats are heated and ventilated, and we had the second row, and then, of course, the third row. But up front in the technology, we had the 12.3-inch instrument display. Nice, big, a lot of room there to see a lot of stuff. But we also had the 12.3-inch center touchscreen where, so it kind of blended together really nice to make it look like one long piece. And you add that with the Burmeister surround sound audio and the wireless charging system and the wireless phone connections. There's a lot of technology in this vehicle, to say the least. Now, to keep it going down the road, there's a couple of different options, but we had the 3.0 inline turbo engine. Now, this produces 375 horsepower and 369 pound-feet of torque. It's backed by a 9-speed automatic. Now, the EPA says you should be looking for 19 in the city, 26 on the highway, combined 22 on average. Now, I kind of skewed things to the highway side, 408.9 miles in the days that I had it, so a lot of it was out on highway. But it averaged out to 21.5, and I really think if you drove it like you were after mileage, you could really match, maybe even exceed that combined mileage rate. But it does have plenty of acceleration, I will tell you that. And the ride and the handling, particularly out on the highway, and it provides a nice quiet space. Like I said, it has the acoustic package, so it's got acoustic glass on it. It's got some extra insulation in it. It really makes for a nice ride and setting it up to where you can drive it a long time. Now, the base model for a GLE is actually the 350 4MATIC, so it's at $63,800. But if you're looking for the base trim price on the GLE 450, you're looking at $69,500. As tested with the option packages that we had, $89,680. Now, if you're looking for something to compare that to in that mid-sized luxury category, you might look over at the Audi Q8 at $74,400 starting. The BMW X5 starts down around $65,200. And you can even look at the Genesis GV80 in that same class. It starts at $55,800. So overall, mid-size SUV, even with the third row option in it, seating 7 people, this is a very nice vehicle. And if you're looking in that mid-size category, then this might be one you want to consider. And that's my review of the 2024 Mercedes-Benz GLE 450 4MATIC.
Thank you, Mr. Mars. It makes us miss you even more.
No, it doesn't.
It does not.
I miss you, Mike.
Yeah.
Feel better.
Yeah, feel better.
Miss you like a rock in the bottom of my shoe.
Wow.
Wow. You know, when I got in here, I figured Conrad looks a little tired. I said, no, he's just ugly.
There's that.
Thanks.
Hank, I got some recalls to tell you about. Driver's airbag inflator may explode.
Pop!
On the Buick, Verano, Chevy Camaro, Chevy Sonic, and the Chevy Volt for 2013.
Vendor issues.
Yeah. Electric oil pump assembly may cause a fire.
Thermal event
on the Hyundai Elantra, Kona, Palisade, Sonata, and Tucson for 2023 and 2024.
That'll stop people from stealing them.
Mm-hmm. There's a recall on a Porsche. It's not much, but hazard warning lights may fail on the Porsche Cayenne, the Cayenne Coupe, the Cayenne S, the Cayenne S Coupe, the Cayenne Turbo GT for the 2024 model year. Electric oil pump assembly may cause a fire in the Kia Seltos, Soul, and Sportage for 23 and 24 model years. The Kia Niro for 2017 through 2022. Kia Niro engine compartment fire, and the Niro PHEV 2018 through 2022.
Okay, remember, Nero was busy fiddling while Rome
was
burned.
Yeah. Or your car.
Isn't that the guy that goes, pizza, pizza? Isn't that the same guy? Or is that Caesar?
Caesar. That's Caesar.
Okay, well, whatever. I was close, wasn't it?
Nero.
Yeah. Nero.
I think he was shorter.
He was a little shorter. Yeah. I know some people that have that kind of attitude.
The Napoleon complex.
That's it. So that's it for this hour's recalls. I have some automotive news that we're going to get to, and we got Conrad's Car Clinic coming up as well. I got all of that.
Got all of it.
Now I just have to learn how to turn the page, the right page, and not combine stuff.
Lick your finger, Don.
I know. Guess who's in the queue?
Richard Tomlin, the head of the regional SCCA.
Yeah, but more importantly, in this particular talk, we're going to talk about building a car for the 24 hours of lemons.
It's that time of year again?
It's not Le Mans, but it's lemons.
It's that time of year.
So we're going to learn how to build that.
To C5?
I'm not, but it's not worthy. But I'm sure that Richard Tomlin can come up with some really fine cars for us of this.
No doubt.
Because, I mean, is it any different really than a destruction derby?
It
just lasts a little bit longer.
It's endurance.
Yeah, you just destroy it by driving it because you brought a POS to race.
That's right. With low oil pressure.
Send some stickers of In-Wheel Time put on the car.
Hey, we've got more of the In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show coming your way right after a quick break. Stay with us, Richard.
Everyone at the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy, thank you for participating in the best cruise in around, and look forward to seeing you again. You'll hear about the next cruise in date right here on In-Wheel Time. Next time you're in the West Houston Energy Corridor area, be sure and stop in at the original Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex at I-10 and Highway 6, or the Katy location on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard. When passing through Beaumont or College Station, stop in and have Lupi's award-winning beef fajitas and frozen margaritas. There's always a celebration at Lupi Tortilla. Lupi Tortilla founder Stan Holt and his wife Sheila are winning racers on the NHRA drag racing circuit and have a collection of hot rods and classics that everyone appreciates. Look for them at the next Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In. The date will be announced soon and will once again be held at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex on 99 and Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10 and Katy. We'll give you all the details right here on the In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show and online. Donations benefit God's Garage. We'll see you then. You own a car you love. Well, why not let Gulf Coast Auto Shield protect it? Houstonian John Gray invites you to his state-of-the-art facility to introduce you to his specialist team of auto enthusiasts. We promise you'll be impressed. Whether you're looking to massage your original paint to a like-new appearance, apply a ceramic coating, install a paint protection film, nano-ceramic window tint, or new windshield protection called ExoShield, Gulf Coast Auto Shield is where Houston's car people go. Curbed your wheels? Instead of buying new, why not have them repaired? How about a professionally installed radar detector? Gulf Coast Auto Shield does that too. Get a peek inside the shop and look at the services offered by getting online and heading to gcautoshield.com. Better yet, stop by their facility at 11275 South Sam Houston Tollway, just south of the Southwest Freeway, and get a personal tour. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your place to go for all things exterior. Call them today, 832-930-5655 or gcautoshield.com. The award-winning In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show is available on the most popular podcast channels out there in 30-minute episodes. We realize our 3-hour live show can be difficult to catch in its entirety, so now you can listen every day to a convenient, fresh 30-minute episode. Check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Audible, along with a dozen more. In-Wheel Time has the most informative automotive guest interviews and new car reviews, along with popular features including Conrad's Car Clinic and This Week in Auto History, along with automotive news headlines. Our live broadcast airs every Saturday, 8 to 11 Central on InWheelTime.com, the iHeart app, and on YouTube. Be sure to say hello when we're broadcasting from the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In, Autorama, and the Houston Auto Show, among others. Now, it's easier than ever to hear about all things automotive all week long. You're invited to join fellow car enthusiasts in becoming part of the ever-growing In-Wheel Time Car Talk family. Don't forget those 30-minute podcast episodes on your favorite podcast channel.
It's the In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Coming up, Richard Tomlin, Apex Auto Works, building cars for the 24 hours of Lemons. If it weren't so dang hot, I'd go down there and get in the way. Later, a look at the automotive headlines this week, along with Conrad's Car Clinic that we didn't get to last hour. We're going to get to it this hour because we'll love that. Howdy, along with David Ainsley, who's filling in for Mr. COVID Mike Mars. We have next to him King Conrad DeLong. We always need more Jeff Zekins.
Always.
I'm Don Armstrong. Thanks so much for joining us today. And also joining us right now on the Zoom, here he is, ladies and gentlemen, Richard Tomlin, Apex Auto Works. How were you so lucky to be adorned with the builder for the 24 hours of Lemons?
We've just built a bunch of them, and Mars was out here, I guess, 2 weeks ago, and I think we had 5 or 6 Lemons cars here in process at the moment in time, and he felt it'd be good to talk about it because I don't think a lot of the listeners understand what Lemons is, and kind of like you were saying about the Demolition Derby, it's...
Richard, if you can hear us, would you please take your phone and step outside so we can have a connection with you? Because we can't.
Yeah, you're choppy.
So yeah, you have to step outside. There you go. Thank you.
It looks way better than it sounds.
What does?
The
You?
actual bar. Yeah, well, maybe. Is that better?
Yeah, it's a lot better.
much better.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting. Okay.
So-
So Mark, go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask you, explain to everybody what the 24 hours of Lemons is and where is it held?
Well, Lemons started 2006. The brief history of it is a guy was racing vintage. His name was Jay Lamb. We're racing vintage cars. They would travel 5-6 hours to go race their vintage cars, MGs, Fiats, some British cars. We know how those work out, right?
Yeah.
And the cars break down.
Yes.
So the joke became I could buy a Toyota Corolla for $500 in stock trim and go out there and beat all these vintage road race cars.
Yep.
And some of his friends took him up on that challenge. Well, now fast forward to 2023, Jay runs a nationwide series and some global series called 24 Hours of Lemons, and basically impose the same rules. Find a car for $500, put a roll cage in it, put a fire system in it now, keep cheap, cheesy tires on it above a 200 treadwear, find 5 of your best friends, pay them some money, come out to the track. And it in motorsports because of it.
Fun.
You know what the problem is? He's in Alvin, Texas.
And the chipmunks are eating the wires.
Well, no, it's not the chipmunks are eating the wires. It's the cell service that's, alleged cell service that he has back there in the woods. Go ahead.
He did say Mike was there.
We'll go closer.
Okay.
So you are building cars for the 24 hours limits, and I know you guys are somewhat well known for your cage work, unlike Elon and Zuckerberg,
Yeah,
who
not that
say
kind
they're
of
going to get in a
cage.
cage.
Yeah.
But you do a lot of roll cage building, certified roll cage building. And is that part of what you're doing for these people that are getting their Lemons cars ready?
Yeah, and most of my customers, the way we talk about it is they have to be at work on Monday. So our cages are built a little bit what I call in excess to make sure that there's no chance of people getting hurt best we can. And we overbuild our cages, have for a long time. 120 to 140 cars on track usually. Last couple of races, we've had over 70 of the cars that were built here at Apex.
Oh, my God. Wait, okay, stop. Where do you get 120 cars on one racetrack at the same time? Where?
MSR, 2.38 miles of road course that's 48 feet wide.
You know, I sit in traffic quite frequently, and I don't want to be in a race where I sit in 128 other cars.
Yeah, because these cars don't have air conditioning in them, do they?
Some people do, and some people run what we call the chill out, which is a cooler system that you can actually plumb into a T-shirt, for lack of a better term, and runs chilled water around your body to keep your core cooler.
Ooh,
yeah, and I
need
would
that.
definitely run with air conditioning.
Yeah. Well, okay, so what kind of cars are there? There's got to be one of the most popular ones. Which one is that?
Man, there's really not. So they give an award at this one called Index of Affluency, and it's really about trying to find the most weird, obscure, cool car that you can. Yeah, there's all the Miatas, there's the Corollas, there's the Ford Taurus, SHOs. That stuff's out there, but we just finished one, a Lancia Delta, or not Delta, Lancia Beta, Zonda, something like that. 800 of them made. And it's like, how did you find this thing? 800 made. Found it in a junkyard in Waco. Been sitting there about 15 years. So we just got that one caged and out. Crazy looking car. Very, very weird. Fiat motor, i.e. a Ferrari, 4-cylinder, front-wheel drive. What could possibly go wrong? Everything.
All I can think of is the first when you say that, I want to get the Citroen. The Citroen,
exactly,
with that bizarre suspension, the air suspension. I mean, if we're going to do it, let's do it right.
You can drive it on three wheels.
Yeah.
Some of it becomes how good of a mechanic are you? How quickly can you fix things and identify problems to get a car back on track? Because most of us are racing true garbage. Those are doing it in the true spirit of the event. Now, there's the other side of the event that's not doing it in that, and they're running the BMW E36 M3s. They're running some of the older Mercedes AMG stuff. Cars are fast. And over the years, the event has gotten much faster. But the cars will run spec Miata times on garbage tires. So it's a whole lot of fun.
And aren't there some penalties that can be paid by certain cars where the officials say, you're too fast. We're going to weld a barn door to the roof of your car to slow you down?
Yeah, most of that's gone now. So now what they do is they penalize you on laps. Say your car looks too good, too fast. We've seen a guy get a 200-lap penalty. You usually only run 300, 350 laps. So 200-lap penalty, your race is over, but you still get to race and go have a good time. So it's changed a little bit. Some of that's gotten softer. They do have 3 classes of cars. You got your Class A, which is your fast guys, your Class B, who they want to be fast, and your Class C, who says, no, I showed up with garbage. I'm going to race garbage and have a good time.
And they're all on the track at the same time.
Correct. And day one is usually about 9 hours of racing. And then basically you wrench, depending on how much garbage you got, you wrench overnight. We've had engines and transmissions changed in the parking lot overnight, and then back on track Sunday morning to finish a 7-hour race. And then you add those two together, and that's when they crown the champions.
Wow. So it's really not 24 hours.
It is not 24 hours. They hold 4 of those races a year, 4 of the 24-hour races a year. This one that we have here, we've had one at MSR Houston. Usually they do High Plains and then one up in Thunder Hill up north in California. So it depends on time of year, track availability, on how all that stuff works.
So
you're going to get 16 to 18 track time.
When is this race?
November 4th and 5th this year.
Well, thank God it's at least in November and not next week.
Yeah.
We've had them in August and we've had them in June, and we all thought we were going to die.
Yeah.
It's pretty brutal.
Yep. Well, I mean, that's a weekend after the Halloween, and all I can tell you is that I have gone trick-or-treating with my girls and sweated through the entire walk the neighborhood kind of trick-or-treat deal. So November 4th and 5th is still in the summertime for most places.
Candy from a baby.
Kind of like that. All right, so what is needed besides the roll cage? I assume that you take all the glass out of it?
Yeah, so you're allowed to keep all your side glass and back glass and front windshield, honestly, but you have to race with the windows down. And we encourage people to keep those in because if you take the windows out, then you've got to either store the car in the garage or in Houston, it becomes junk in like 2 years because it's just too much humidity down here.
No.
So windows come down, fire system. You'll need a race seat. You'll need belts. We use Ultra Shield products made right here in Tyler, Texas. All the oval track guys know them. They're just now getting into the road race stuff with us. It's really, really good. And really, master switch hooked up on the car, and that's about all you have to go race.
So we talked about a $500 car that has probably now gone to $1,500.
I'm thinking more than that.
Well, you spend more than that on a
No, I would
cage.
say a team of five to six people can get a car purchased, built, and track ready, all their gear, probably $8,000 to $9,000.
Oh my God! So much for the $500 car.
Well, the car is still $500 because they don't account your brakes because you're going to want better brakes, right? You want to be able to stop. Brakes are considered safety. Tires are considered safety. All your safety equipment is safety. All that gets taken out. So the only thing you're talking about, the $500, is the car itself. And that's how the event works. And that's where people get confused because they think the whole thing is $500 investment. It's not. The car itself is $500.
And what do you do there besides build cars? I'm sure you're some kind of officiant.
I don't officiate at this one. I am there for counsel on cages because a lot of people build their own cages. I will say last event was very humbling. I actually received an award for helping 26 other cars get back on track that had actually been booted for either a cage failure, mechanical issue, couldn't get back on track, or broke something during the race. So the last probably 4 years, I've been in the midst of literally just helping people stay on track.
Do you have one of those welder trucks?
Yeah. Well, we make it look like one. It's not really a welder truck, but we're 15 minutes from the track. If it's major, we'll bring it back to the track with a 220. If it's small stuff, we'll do it at the track with 110. It just depends on what the situation is, but you got to keep people on track to where they're having fun, to where they want to come back and do it again. If they're sitting in the pits having to wrench on a car, that's not everybody's favorite pastime, you know?
Right.
Yeah, no doubt.
Sounds like. And have you driven in one?
I've driven in, I guess, 15, 20 of them now. I've got 11 trophies over that time. So it's a lot of fun. I did win one of the IOEs, and I got screwed. I've got a bunch of fun trophies.
Do you have a particular junker car when you race? I mean, you have some particular make and model car that you go out and find?
Talk a little about what I'm doing this year. So I'm joining up with a local team that we've helped a long ways along. They had a individual on the team that had the P71 Crown Vic, so police package Crown Vic. He's owned it for 11 years, so we know the maintenance on it is amazing. It's in such good shape. That's what he wanted to do with it. He got a new Demon that's his daily. So we get the car and we take it out there. They've made 3 races with it now, traveling around the country, but now the transmission's slow. So we got a Tramac 5-speed here that we're getting ready to put into the police package car. So basically it'll be a Mustang drivetrain with a P71 body that we can play and push and around the track at MSR this year.
Who's your favorite this year? Looking at the field, looking at the stable of entries.
Dude, it's hard to say because the race goes for so long. It's kind of like picking that winner at Le Mans, right? But it's worse because you got teams that have zero budget. It's just who gets lucky. A lot of luck involved in this race.
So the Lancia you're building is not one of your favorites.
Oh no, that's going to fail immediately. the thing is, start the race and finish. Be running on the last lap. They can win what's called the IOE, which is the most prestigious award you can win at the event.
And what does IOE stand for?
That's what they're chasing. I mean, they've got to take it.
I owe
Index
everyone.
of Fluency.
Is that IO everyone?
Doing the most
IOE?
with the least.
What does that stand for?
Yeah. Index of Affluency. So doing the most with the least. Taking the car that shouldn't be making race laps at all and making race laps.
But it's a Lancia. I think I saw you posted a picture of that on your Facebook page, and I'm like,
Yes.
a Lancia.
Is that
What an
company
odd
even
duck of a car.
in business anymore?
Why? Yeah, in Italy.
I have no idea.
Tony drives it.
Tony, hey, Tony.
Hey, Tony delivers pizzas in it.
There are so many weird things about that little car. It is nothing I want to be a part of. It takes a very mechanically minded person to get that one running.
So they paid you cash up front to build it, right?
For the cage, yeah. I mean, it was drop it off. I think we had that thing like 7 days. It was in and out. Pictures had to be approved to be posted. They're trying to keep a lot of it hush hush. So I probably blew some of it.
I will have to tell you that I ran across in this information sheet that you gave me here, Find a Lemons Cars, the heading. And one of the things that you've got on here is you can find them through the government, a charity, or insurance auctions. And the caption below it is, that old cop car that can't be used by normal human beings because of the quote-unquote incident in the back seat.
Right. Hey, we have had cars show up that were littered with bullet holes that were, in theory, not caused by the owners. Like prior owners cars have been shot up. It's amazing what you see. Cars have rolled over. The Miata we're working on now lost control in Houston flooding, hit all four corners, took it home, went to bed that night. Same storm, dropped a tree on top of it. So they bought it for $500, and they literally bought it from their neighbor. So we've had the best luck driving around neighborhoods.
And they named it Lucky. And they named it Lucky, right?
Yeah. Well, there are other places to find these cars, and here's his suggestions. eBay Motors, The Backyard is a restoration project. And when you're done with the restoration that's been sitting in the backyard for 10 years and you're done with it, well, put that in there. Lemons Forum. Okay. Has classifieds with everything from stalled builds to turnkey race-ready cars. Craigslist. The government and charity, which I mentioned, and where not to look for Lemons cars. Always study the full Lemons rule book and how to not fail tech guide, and don't be shy about contacting Richard, really, because he knows all this stuff when it comes to that. Well, it sounds like a ton of fun.
That's why we have him on the show.
Yeah, exactly. I'm surprised that you actually don't have an entry or at least the Don Armstrong Memorial entry.
Well, what we
have to die for it to be a
we
memorial.
need to do is have one for next year in Wheel Time, and we'll get David out there with us and Mars. And
at one time I was running 3 cars out there, but it's too much.
Too much, yeah, no doubt. Here's what I'm thinking.
Keeping 3 cars running.
Is it when I'm dead, when I die, when I leave the face of this earth?
Leave us the C5 to take?
No, take my corpse and put it in one of those Lemons cars and run me around the track.
There you go.
How fun would that be? That'd be kind of sick. Could you actually do that?
Tie it to the roof.
Amazing.
Oh, tie me to the roof.
In a rocking chair or
like
something.
Aunt Edna. Yeah.
Like Granny.
Aunt Edna.
The Beverly Hillbillies.
Well, there's that. Well, it's always enlightening to talk with you.
It sounds like fun.
Yeah, and good luck. I mean, you've certainly got time to do all these you got time like no other. I mean, the thing's not till November. Yeah. By the way.
Yeah, we've got. I think I've got 4 more lined up at this point.
When is a good time for me to bring the Corvette down there to find that errant electrical drain that I have?
After November.
Not after November. I need it before then.
Down any weekday.
Do what?
Do a quick check through the fuse block, see what we can find there.
Yeah. So I'll come down there. I'll just drop it off one day, probably on a Saturday. Is that okay?
Yeah, after the show.
Yeah, after the show. Okay.
Oh, and I did have an interesting thing for you, Don. One of my customers here said, "Hey, that radio show you're on, is that guy there, does he work on one of the helicopters for his channel?" I was like, "No, I have no idea what you're speaking about."
There's that. I try to play incognito.
Yep,
Somebody said, well, that girl, then she puts herself on television all the time. And I'm going, nobody really wants to see me, so I'd rather not press that button. Not that anybody wants to see her, but I'm just saying about
But
me.
you've gone viral with your Challenger Hellcat.
Well,
video.
there's that. But
You've been identified. That's all.
12 million views
somebody,
now?
more than that. But somebody has.
See, he knows it's more than that.
Well, I've been told it's more than that. But at any rate, Richard, it's always fun to talk to you,
Yes,
sir.
it is. Yes, it
By
is.
the way, how did Pikes Peak go?
Amazing time. 20th out of 70 cars. Car didn't have any issues, thankfully. Driver was in a very comfortable zone, in his words. He didn't push really hard, but he wanted to make sure we made it to the top, and we did that. So already got 5 applicants for next year looking to rent the car. So 2024, we'll be back up there playing again.
Well,
Congratulations.
I was going to say, it's probably more fun for you doing what you do up there on the mountain than driving the car and doing all the other stuff. But tons of fun. Richard, great to talk to you, my friend.
Yeah. It's more my. We'll see you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, man. Richard Tomlin, Apex Auto Works. If you want work done on your car and want to make a Lemons 24-hour
He's
car.
got to have like 30 hours in his day. He's always doing something.
He's always doing something. He's tinkering in the garage.
He's got a duck line.
And the garage is behind the house, so it's easy. It's not easy to find, though. I'll tell you.
Commute
that.
to work is really good.
It's in the boonies.
Well, it not only is it in the boonies, but it's almost as if you got to put corn behind you to get your way out of there to find your way back.
Some of those pictures there.
All right, time now for Conrad's Car Clinic. Sorry for the postponement, but we have the car clinic, and it's ready to go. Conrad, it's all yours.
Well, we're going to talk mufflers today.
All right.
If you think about way back in the day, mufflers were put on cars to try and quiet them down, create a little back pressure, but also kind of quiet them down. If you remember, back when we were building hot rods, what was one of the mufflers of choice?
Cherry bomb.
It was the cherry bomb. So really what a cherry bomb is basically a straight pipe that had fiberglass inside of it to try and muffle the noise.
But not too much.
Not too much. But originally, when people wanted to make a hot rod, they would just put straight pipes on the car. Today, people still put straight pipes. Well, cherry bomb...
He's sitting right next to you.
Put a straight pipe on the car, but it had glass inside of it to try and muffle the noise. So how a muffler works is it changes the direction of the air, and instead of, because an engine creates a puff, each cylinder firing event. So what the muffler's trying to do is concentrate all of those puffs into one stream of air so it can minimize the noise that's created. So that's how the muffler works internally. The air is passed through different chambers to go in one side, pass through different chambers, and go out the other side. But cherry bomb was kind of the muffler of choice back in the day. And then they made some evolutions of the cherry bomb muffler as well, and actually put some chambers in it, again trying to change the direction of the airflow inside of the muffler or cherry bomb itself. And then their direct competitor was another company called Thrush. Now, Thrush mufflers were well known because they had the, for lack of a better phrase, the little Thrush Roadrunner face on it. Pretty popular sticker back in the day was to put a Thrush muffler sticker on your vehicle. And they had a pretty loud noise to them. They weren't very quiet either, but they had a relatively distinct noise to them. And different manufacturers through the years did different things to help the exhaust flow of their vehicle. That's the exhaust system of a typical Corvette.
I'm just going to say that's mine.
Yeah, typical Corvette exhaust system. And one of the things, that's a C5 exhaust system. And one of the things Chevrolet did on the C6 is they added what's basically called a cutout that cuts out the muffler and becomes a straight pipe in the exhaust system that automatically functions based on RPM and how much throttle input you have. But, Chevrolet wasn't the first person to put factory cutouts on their vehicle. Do you know who was?
No.
1969 Pontiac GTO had a factory cutout option on it, where literally you would turn a lever and you would dump the exhaust system before the muffler. Highly illegal, Highly illegal.
I
but-
had no clue. I did not know that. Was that a John DeLorean?
Yeah, it was a John DeLorean thing, trying to create more horsepower out of the Ram Air engines. And, there's an old famous commercial of a 69 GTO driving through a drive-through, kind of looking for a street race, basically. And he opens the cutouts, makes all the noise, closes the cutouts, and drives past a cop at the end of the commercial.
Yeah,
pretty cool commercial.
I mean, I've never seen one. I've never heard of it before that, but it doesn't surprise me. I wonder if there are any original GTOs out there that actually have
There's
that from
one
the
that
factory.
shows up on the show circuit every now and then. It's kind of that pale metallic green that has that feature on it. So, and then there are custom exhaust systems that you can get made that can kind of tune the sound you hear.
Right.
Every now and then you hear a Mustang go by and it has basically a hollow sound to it. That's because of the mufflers that they've put on it.
Well, that and that flat plane engine.
Right.
Yeah.
So, each engine creates its own noise or pulse wave of sound. So, yep, that's mufflers again.
Well, that's a great story. Great one. Okay, thank you, sir. A couple of stories making automotive news headlines. The new Cadillac Celestiq ultra luxury electric sedan will start as a blank canvas, priced at around $340,000 before buyers add their personal finishes. Brand leaders said this week.
Hand built.
Cadillac Global CMO Melissa Grady Diaz disclosed the starting price in a LinkedIn post and said the brand has seen strong demand for the Celestiq since it was unveiled last year. Buyers will be notified starting this week that they can begin the process to design their cars. $340,000.
And Mary Barra still makes $29 million.
By the way, it's going to be hand-built at the Tech Center campus at the new Cadillac House of Vanderbilt. Suzanne Vanderbilt, who worked on Cadillac vehicles before joining GM Design in 1955. The facility will house a concierge service for Celestiq buyers from around the world to design their vehicles.
I'm in.
Remember, they had a concierge service for people who bought the Elante as well.
How did that work out? Japanese ship leasing company Shoei Kisen Kaisha, owner of the car carrier Fremantle Highway that caught fire off the Dutch coast last week, said Friday it'll investigate the cause of the incident in cooperation with relevant parties. Blaze broke out July 26th. Traveling from Germany to Egypt, more than 3,000 vehicles on board, killing one crew member, injuring 7 others who jumped overboard to escape the flames. You know how tall that is? It's massive. It's like, 100 feet down to the ocean.
At least.
Good luck. The local officials said the carrier arrived at the northern Dutch port of Eemshaven for salvage on Thursday.
Out?
Yes, the fire is out. The emergency responder was heard in a recording released by Dutch broadcaster RTL as saying the fire started in the battery of an electric car.
Jeff needs to put it in his calendar.
Yeah, next in 2024, the ship's going down with.
Yeah, ship's going down. Dutch company provides dredging, towage, and salvage services. Company called Royal Boskalis Westminster.
Spell that.
I've got all their albums.
Yeah, do you? All right, well, that's it for this hour of the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. We got the last hour coming up. Stay with us right here on In Wheel Time.
Everyone at the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy, thank you for participating in the best cruise in around and look forward to seeing you again. You'll hear about the next cruise in date right here on In Wheel Time. Next time you're in the West Houston Energy Corridor area, be sure and stop in at the original Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex at I-10 and Highway 6 or the Katy location on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard. When passing through Beaumont or College Station, stop in and have Lupi's award-winning beef fajitas and frozen margaritas. There's always a celebration at Lupi Tortilla. Lupi Tortilla founder Stan Holt and his wife Sheila are winning racers on the NHRA drag racing circuit and have a collection of hot rods and classics that everyone appreciates. Look for them at the next Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In. The date will be announced soon and will once again be held at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex on 99 and Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10 and Katy. We'll give you all the details right here on the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show and online. Donations benefit God's Garage. We'll see you then. You own a car you love. Well, why not let Gulf Coast Auto Shield protect it? Houstonian John Gray invites you to his state-of-the-art facility to introduce you to his specialist team of auto enthusiasts. We promise you'll be impressed. Whether you're looking to massage your original paint to a like-new appearance, apply a ceramic coating, install a paint protection film, nano-ceramic window tint, or new windshield protection called ExoShield, Gulf Coast Auto Shield is where Houston's car people go. Curbed your wheels? Instead of buying new, why not have them repaired? How about a professionally installed radar detector? Gulf Coast Auto Shield does that too. Get a peek inside the shop and look at the services offered by getting online and heading to gcautoshield.com. Better yet, stop by their facility at 11275 South Sam Houston Tollway, just south of the Southwest Freeway, and get a personal tour. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your place to go for all things exterior. Call them today, 832-930-5655 or gcautoshield.com. The award-winning In Wheel Time Car Talk Show is available on the most popular podcast channels out there in 30-minute episodes. We realize our 3-hour live show can be difficult to catch in its entirety, so now you can listen every day to a convenient, fresh 30-minute episode. Check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Audible, along with a dozen more. In Wheel Time has the most informative automotive guest interviews and new car reviews, along with popular features including Conrad's Car Clinic and This Week in Auto History, along with automotive news headlines. Our live broadcast airs every Saturday, 8 to 11 Central on InWheelTime.com, the iHeart app, and on YouTube. Be sure to say hello when we're broadcasting from the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In, Autorama, and the Houston Auto Show, among others. Now, it's easier than ever to hear about all things automotive all week long. You're invited to join fellow car enthusiasts in becoming part of the ever-growing In Wheel Time Car Talk family. Don't forget those 30-minute podcast episodes on your favorite podcast channel.
Live on iHeartRadio and the Smoke and Mirrors Network, it's the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Coming up, we speak with Andrew Beckman, Studebaker National Museum. This is a first. I drive the 2023 Lincoln Navigator. I'll give you my impression of it. We'll also have the cruise-in calendar. Conrad has This Week in Auto History, and I'll bring you some more stories making automotive news headlines. Just ahead on the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Howdy. Along with David Ainsley, making an rare in-studio appearance today. Mars is out with COVID. Oh, we think he's got it. We don't want him to bring it here. Leave it at that. And we have King Conrad DeLong. We always need more Jeff Zekin. I'm Don Armstrong. Thanks so much for joining us today. And joining us right now from the Studebaker National Museum is Andrew Beckman. Andrew, good morning to you.
Good morning. How are you guys doing?
Well, we're doing great. Where are you? Where is the Studebaker National Museum?
We are in South Bend, Indiana, actually enjoying a nice little summer rainstorm right now, so the perfect day to come down and check things out indoors.
Well, let me tell you something. We've had 105-degree heat, and rain sounds real good for us right now. We haven't had any in over a month, but make us jealous already. Tell us about the Andrew Beckman Studebaker National Museum. I guess you don't actually own it or have the naming rights to it, but you're standing inside of it.
Yes, the Studebaker National Museum has been around since the early 20th century. It's the Studebaker Collection. It started as a corporate collection under the auspices of the Studebaker Brothers Manufacturing Company, which later became the Studebaker Corporation. And today we encompass about 120 wheeled vehicles from the horse-drawn era up until the very last Studebaker made. And we're also hosting a couple feature exhibitions right now as well.
Very nice. And was the Studebaker, all the Studebakers made in South Bend, Indiana?
Mostly. Their early automobiles were made in Detroit, and they also had plants in California and Canada. But the company headquarters was always centered in South Bend.
Gotcha. And where is South Bend in relationship to Indianapolis?
Due north of Indianapolis, about 150 miles. We're about 90 miles east of Chicago. Just tucked right up close to the Michigan-Indiana state line.
Gotcha. And do you live there?
I do, yes. Yes.
Do you like living there?
Love it.
And is it a place that I want to visit there to the National Studebaker Museum?
Well, I can tell you it's not 105 degrees right now.
And we ain't coming. No,
well, we ain't coming then. So there. No, I'm just teasing. I want to know about what's in the museum. You know, I'm a big car freak, and I love car museums. And I didn't even know a Studebaker museum existed, but I see the huge red letters there that say Lark. And I remember the Studebaker Lark, probably the most popular car of the Studebaker line back in my day.
Kind of the last one they built was a Lark, wasn't it?
Yeah, the Lark body cars were the last Studebakers made, and yeah, tremendously popular. And you see a lot of club members with those today.
And I was telling the story before we went on the air that my good friend Puss Wilson, his brother was named Kenneth Wilson, and this is way back in the 60s. And Kenneth had a Hawk. And I always made fun of it, of course, understanding that I was in my early car years, in my early teens, and I just thought it was weird looking, and it fit his personality. But the car was an absolute rocket, from what I understand.
Yeah, if you got the Red Hawk, they could really keep up with anything, especially the Golden Hawks in the late 50s.
And do you have any of those Hawks in your collection there?
Yes, we do. We will show you those in just a couple minutes here. But just to give you an idea of the early history of the company, they were the world's largest builder of horse-drawn vehicles. And the first part of our museum is dedicated to some of the finest Studebaker horse-drawn vehicles in the land, everything from a hearse to basic 2-passenger buggies to heavy farm equipment, all the way up until presidential carriages.
You know, it's funny because I get the feeling that that's obviously the beginning of the car era, and I can see that, I'm going to go buy the Studebaker carriage as opposed to the Chevrolet carriage.
Well, yeah, there was no Chevrolet carriage. I mean, for that matter, the Studebaker was the world's brand standard for horse-drawn vehicles. They were worldwide. They were a global company in an era when most horse-drawn vehicle manufacturing was local or regional. I mean, the Studebaker was around the globe in back the early 1880s.
That's truly amazing, and I did not know that, and I was just kind of kidding when I said the Chevrolet carriage, but you get my point.
Yeah, no other manufacturer.
But Studebaker had a brand name that was associated with highest quality of what they were building of the carriage field, so it was an easy transition for them to figure out how to put not necessarily a motor in their carriage, but put a motored vehicle on the road as well.
Right. And when did that transformation happen, when they went to motorized vehicles?
It was the early 20th century. In fact, their first automobile was in 1902. It was an electric, and gasoline-powered cars came in 1904, but they were still selling horse-drawn vehicles up until 1920.
So they were going through kind of like what we're going through now with ICE vehicles and EV vehicles.
Yep. Circle of life.
And for a period of about 18 years, and they actually partnered with early other kind of upstart companies to produce the automobiles under the Studebaker name. And when they were satisfied the automobile was here to stay, that's when they really jumped in feet first to the automobile market.
Truly amazing. How long has that museum been there?
We've been at our current location from 2005, but there has been a formal Studebaker museum since about 1916.
Oh, that's tremendous. Yeah. And it all been there in South Bend, Indiana.
Well, the forethought of having that museum, collecting all that and keeping it.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so keep walking us through the museum. I'm sorry to interrupt.
We'd be remiss if we didn't talk about our presidential carriage collection. Our camera woman, Joe, is focusing on the Abraham Lincoln carriage. This is the carriage President Lincoln took to Ford's Theater the night of his assassination. And it is one of 4 presidential carriages we have here in the collection. We see President Harrison's Brougham, President McKinley's Phaeton, we have President Grant's Landau over there in the corner if you want to see a true slice of American history, and also the Marquis de Lafayette's carriage coming up and see us in South Bend.
Lafayette. Mm-hmm. Wow. We got a city not too far from here called Lafayette. Or as they say,
that was named after a pirate.
Is that what it was?
Yes.
Well, that was Jean Lafitte.
Lafayette.
Okay, fine. Never mind.
And then is this one of the? Oh, that's an electric. Okay, so you guys were doing it before Elon was.
That's right.
Before, from 1902 to 1911, Studebaker was producing both passenger and commercial electric vehicles.
It sounds to me like you got some guests there in the museum this morning.
And then back in the day, but Studebaker was considered kind of one of the top tier cars to buy, if I remember correctly.
Well, they were able to capture the momentum from the horse-drawn era, and in 1910, Studebaker was the number 2 car manufacturer in the United States until Mr. Ford got for the Model T. So they really kind of settled into the upper medium.
That's interesting. He's indoors, so we're having a little trouble receiving his cell phone signal. But anyway, continue on. We got you.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, as we get up into the teens and 20s here, this is really when Studebaker was building some of their finest products. This 1924 Light 6, you see, this is actually bodied by the Shanghai Horse and Motor Company of Shanghai, China. This is custom coach work. See kind of the pagoda influence there, and just one of the crown jewels of our collection.
Wow.
I love the color.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that's a stunning car. The Rockney automobile was another product of the Studebaker Corporation. The Rockney was named for Coach Newt Rockney, Notre Dame football coach, who also part-time. And we get so many Notre Dame folks are through here, and they're surprised to hear that, oh, wait, there's an automobile called the Rockney, and yep, we got one right here. Sadly, it was only produced for 2 years in 1932 and 33.
What is it? Yes, continue.
Get up into the 30s, we have a number of Studebaker Presidents here, really their most luxurious model. These are all certified as full classics by the Classic Car Club of America.
That's beautiful.
9 presidents up into, we have the President Roadster here.
You know, in all of the big car shows that they have these early cars like this era of cars, you just don't see very many Studebakers going across the block.
Yeah, it was not an area that Studebaker was not Packard by any stretch. I mean, this was the top of their market rather than the bulk of their market. But yeah, there's still some of the finest cars. You look at the basis, the engines for these cars were used in Studebaker's Indianapolis 500 racing team, for example. They were really putting out a quality product.
And apparently horsepower, too.
They knew how to build a pretty powerful engine that would hold together for a 500-mile race.
Yeah.
And this is one of our newest acquisitions over here, a 1938 Commander convertible sedan.
Ooh, love that.
Mm-hmm. The color is tulip cream. I wish we built that color today.
Yeah, no kidding. It's beautiful.
So we're going to move on to some of the newer stuff. We'll get to the Hawks in just a moment. We're doing a featured exhibit on Brooks Stevens. Brooks was an industrial designer who did a lot of work for Studebaker. This is the Studebaker SS. This was the prototype for what became the Excalibur motor car. And it was originally built as a show car for Studebaker based on a 1930s Mercedes look, if you will, but it's all built on a Studebaker chassis with Studebaker components. And unfortunately, it never came to production, but we're delighted to have that here as part of the exhibit.
Oh, how cool! Yeah. Where did you guys find that car? How did it come into your collection?
That is actually just on loan to us. Actually, the Brooks Stevens family still maintains a collection, and we were able to get that.
And that's cool. That's my question. Are these on loan from private owners, or are these all belong to the museum or from other individuals?
Most of the things we saw you before the SS belong to the museum. This one is just on loan for the duration of the feature exhibit.
So that's the only one, or are there many others that are on loan?
We're going to run upstairs here and look at some more of the newer vehicles for a moment here.
Well, good. We'll get us closer to the radio signal from his cell phone.
Hopefully that'll work.
Yeah, hopefully it will. Yeah, those darn roofs have a way with preventing really good transmission all the time. That's okay. We're fine. I love to have. Wouldn't you love to have that really nice red sign there which says Lark on it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Is that a neon sign?
It is.
Yeah,
it is because we have a friend of ours that owns a museum of his own called the Hemi Hideout here in the Houston area, and he is big into neon, and he would love to have that Lark.
Yeah, if he'd have found it before you did, he'd have had it.
No doubt.
It wouldn't be there.
Okay, continue on.
Yeah, we're up looking at the Brooks Stevens Mid-Century Master is the exhibit, and we feature some of Brooks' earliest work from the Paxton Phoenix, the car right behind me, to a Willis Jeepster. up to a series of prototypes he made for Studebaker back in the early 60s.
Including the Miller High Life sign over here.
Yeah, another one is if you have an Oscar Mayer hot dog and wash it down with some Miller High Life, you just come into two of Brooks' designs right there at one time.
Well, it's the champagne of bottled beers.
There you go.
Right?
Yeah. Right now.
Now, why is the Jeepster in there? Because it's his collection?
That was his design?
His portfolio. He started, really, the Jeepster was the first domestic automobile design he completed, and then he worked on, we just saw the Paxton Phoenix. That was the next undertaking that he and his team were trying to market. Unfortunately, it never went into production. This is the only one that was built.
Beautiful car. And what year was the Paxton Phoenix?
1954.
Very much styled ahead of its day.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed.
Yeah, and it's actually powered by a Porsche 356 engine. It's a really, a rear engine, a very, very advanced automotive design.
Wow. Cool. Almost like a Buick.
Or Cadillac.
Yeah, Cadillac, yeah.
For Harley Davidson, the 49 Harley Davidson Hydroglide. A lot of the styling work on the bike was handled by his company.
So he was quite wide-ranging in the transportation field.
Yes, he was. It was the Evinrude outboards, that kind of
boomerangs.
Yeah, the boomerang pattern you see on the Formica countertops from the 50s and early 60s. That was also one of Brooks's designs as well.
How cool is that? Yeah.
So he bought into the Art Deco look.
And they created it.
Well, we get up into the 60s. We'll look at Brooks created these three cars for Studebaker, kind of proposals for what the new Studebaker models might have looked like. He did this station wagon proposal, he did a sedan proposal, and also a two-door sports model called the Scepter. And normally those cars would have been destroyed, but thankfully Brooks saved them for his own private museum, and he had that museum till the mid-1990s, just north of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. We were able to acquire the cars when that museum closed.
Look at the headlights that are on those cars that are those headlights weren't legal in the States until into the 70s, where they finally moved away from the square round headlights. How cool is that?
To have a special tubular headlight by Sylvania, which basically amounted to they went to the hardware store across the street and got a fluorescent light tube.
How funny.
So do those three prototypes, do they run? Do they drive?
They are rollers. They have drivetrains, and they were initially operational just so to facilitate loading and unloading, but by no means should they be considered roadworthy.
Gotcha.
And what's the gray one behind you?
That is the only Bendix car you'll ever see. Bendix was a South Bend company that was doing a lot of component supply for the automobile business. And Vincent Bendix decided he wanted to build an automobile, and he created the Steel Wheel Corporation. That's the logo that Joe just showed you there. And that's what the car was built as, the SWC. And it never went into production. It was actually never shown in the United States because Vincent Bendix did not want his biggest customers, Ford, GM, and Chrysler, to think he was entering into competition with them.
It's got a little Jaguar look to it.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, a lot of people think Chrysler Airflow when they see it, but very similar.
How many miles are you guys from the Henry Ford in Detroit?
I'd say about just under 200 miles, about 180 miles.
Oh, nice.
It's a good road trip.
I was just going to say, what a great road trip. Go to Detroit, see the Henry Ford, and then come and see the Studebaker Museum. I will tell you that I am thoroughly impressed. What a great venue you've got there, great display, and more importantly, what you've got inside there.
Yeah, we're about 180 miles from
There's Ford. One of my favorites, the Avante.
You didn't let him finish.
He never does.
Oh, sorry.
All right.
We're 180 miles from the Henry Ford, or about 100-some miles from Gilmore, just down 100 miles from Auburn Ford Duesenberg, and also the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Museum.
Nice. Well, Andrew and your assistant there behind the camera, thank you guys so much for giving us a tour today. We're out of time, but we want to encourage all of our listeners and viewers to be sure and stop by the Studebaker National Museum there in South Bend, Indiana. Go online and get all of the information. Thanks again. It's great to talk to you guys.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
And enjoy the rain while you got it, because we need it really bad. Send it down this way. Y'all take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How cool.
Yes.
Yeah, neat.
Hey, if you'd like to get in touch with us anytime, shoot us an email. The address here is info@inwheeltime.com. Time now for the cruise-in calendar, of which we have some cruise-ins going on. I went to Craig's cruise-in last weekend.
How was it?
It's packed every weekend.
Yeah.
It's really popular.
How
yeah.
far do they fill that parking?
All the way.
Oh, yeah. It goes wraps around the bank.
It's impressive.
Cool. So were you handing out hero cards?
I was not, but please go ahead.
You need to get hero cards.
No, I don't. Please go ahead with the cruise-in calendar.
So let's see. The Journey Community Church monthly show and shine in Lumberton, Texas, is this afternoon at 4 p.m. All American Muscle at Kroger's on 99. Fuzzle Road, this starts at 5 p.m. tonight. Nifty 50s, of course, goes from 5 to 10 p.m. off of Buckthorn in the Woodlands. Classic car only, $10 entry fee. Buddha Show and Shine at Cabela's on the Frontage Road in Buda, Texas.
Buda.
It's an open car show. Taco and Chili at 6510 West Little York. Open cruise in and leave the windows open. The car show and Slow Cow Speed Shop in Waco, Texas is also tomorrow starting at 10 a.m. Ocean View Classics meet at Sylvan Beach Park in North Bayshore, LaPorte is tomorrow at 8 a.m. Car meetup and at the True Value in Willis, Texas is tomorrow at 6 p.m. Let's see, the Twin Peaks meet at the Twin Peaks in Shenandoah, right there off of 45 North, is tomorrow, goes from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Tomball Locals Car Meet at Kohl's starts tomorrow at 7 p.m. The Car Church at Segundo Coffee Lab off of Milby in Houston starts tomorrow at 8 a.m.
All right, thank you, sir. Time now for this hour's car review. We looked at the 2023, 2023 Lincoln Navigator. Available trim levels are the base, the reserve, and the black label. I had the 4x4 black label. This is a standard SUV, and it's nice. How many passengers? Up to 8, including the driver. It was updated last year, and it was all new for 2018. They've got it sorted out. The L model of this, I did not have it, but the L model gives you an extra foot of length and expands the cargo area and increases fuel capacity from 23 to 27 gallons. Just thought I'd throw that in there. Exterior features: cohesive, straightforward, conservative styling. Beautiful grille with sophisticated headlight design. Horizontal tail lights that stretch across the entire width of the tailgate. Navigator callouts on the upper fenders. What I liked? The exclusive 22-inch black label wheels. L. Ooh. What could use improvement? Check to make sure it fits in the garage.
Yeah.
Because it's big. Interior highlights. Big new infotainment screen sits atop the center AC vents. Rather unique. Floating center console allows storage under the front of it. Women with big purses, it's perfect for that. Over-the-top seating adjustments with massage. Beautiful leather surfaces and Alcantara headliner. Cargo trunk room. Massive, especially with the L model. What I liked, the interior woodwork in it. Oh, yeah. And when I get to the price, you'll understand. What could use more improvement? More time with it.
Wow.
In other words, let me just go ahead. Yeah, let me just go ahead and have it for a month. Engine is only a 3.5 liter, but it is a twin turbocharged 6-cylinder with 440 horsepower and 510 pound-feet of torque. It acts like a big V8. 10-speed transmission in it. It'll tow between 8,300 and 8,700 pounds, depending on, four-wheel drive, the L model, la. Gas mileage, 16 miles per gallon city, 22 highway for combined to 18. I got 17.5 over 370.5 miles.
Pretty good.
What I liked about it, plenty of power out of the twin-turbo V6. What could use improvement? Well, Cadillac offers that big V supercharged V8. Why not do something like, how about put the Coyote engine in it? Just saying. supercharged.
Well, I think Ford doesn't put a V8 in that full-size utility, whether it's at the Ford or the Lincoln brand. It's all EcoBoost is the only engine availability, but they have some higher horsepower versions of the EcoBoost as well.
Well, which I said is just put some more horsepower into it. That's all, and call it, V minus or
The
V
Raptor.
plus,
Yeah, whatever.
or the Raptor. Yeah, ride and handling, the feeling of sitting on a living room couch. I don't know how else to put it. That just pretty much says you got a good, comfortable, velvety couch.
Feet
This
up
is
on the
it.
dash,
Oh,
beer in
absolutely.
your hand.
Mm-hmm. What could use improvement can be a little floaty at times when it comes to the ride
a
and
luxury
handling.
vehicle.
Exactly, and that's what it's about. Base trim price, $112,300. Prices tested, $120,995. Yeah, baby. I had it for a week. Base model price, you can get in a Lincoln Navigator. Try to find one for $77,635.
That's the stripper.
The stripper, if you have a stripper in a Lincoln. Competitors to this vehicle in base price and size: Cadillac Escalade, $79,225. Jeep Grand Wagoneer, $87,995. And let's just go right on up to the top with the Lexus LX 600. Base price on that's $90,815. I could almost drive that in your mouth as you yawned, because it was a that's a open maw.
So, but can you tub it out?
I would imagine
And put a coyote in it.
Absolutely. And that car's really nice. Golly, it's hard to believe that they make and sell those things. And I heard some really negative comments in some of the research that I was doing. People going, yeah, it's old school, man. Nobody buys it. No, people do buy them. I think that Lincoln, if I were to offer a suggestion to Lincoln, bump it up, man. Bump it up.
A little bit different styling, maybe. Yeah.
Well, even the same styling, but they never advertise it. They never talk about it. It's kind of, you see Cadillac Escalade being advertised all the time.
And that's what this one was designed to compete with, is the Escalade and Suburban.
Nobody even thinks about it anymore.
Escalade Tahoe,
Come on,
Suburban.
man, get on with the times. Let's advertise this thing. You can advertise it right here, as a matter of fact.
Yep.
Hello, Ford Motor Company. Welcome to the In Wheel Time Show, sponsored by Lincoln. That sounds right, doesn't it?
How'd you get to the studio in my Lincoln?
In my Lincoln.
There you go.
Yeah. Just saying. Why not? All right. I got a couple of Hemmings Motor News Weekly Car Roundup. Some of the cars that sold on Hemmings. I got some for both of you. Let's start with Jeff.
All right.
1957 Cadillac Fleetwood.
Still my heart.
$22,000.
Oh, wow.
Exactly.
That's
And it's
not a bad
beautiful.
price
And
for
it's
that.
red. And it's got those big rubber bumpers up there.
Oh, it's got Dagmars.
Dagmars on it. How about the Cadillac from 1960, the Fleetwood model?
Yes, here we go again.
26250.
That's a boat.
Or how about the Cadillac Eldorado from 1975?
Even better.
It's another boat.
Convertible, $19,688.
I need like a 50-car garage.
You need to have a Cadillac collection, Jeff's Cadillac collection. All right, moving down the list. There's another one for you, Jeff. A 1969 Chevrolet Nova sold for $38,850. It's red, and it's a two-door, and it's bad to the bone. 93 Jeep Grand Wagoneer, Conrad, sold for $11,550. You could do that.
That's not a
Or
bad
here's
price.
one that really caught my attention for some reason. 83 Datsun 280ZX. How much did it go for?
9.
14.
26.
It's a lot.
It's a lot of money.
It's all the money.
How about the 2009 Saturn Sky? My daughter Katie loved this car. Sold for $29,400. That's a lot of money.
Yeah,
I'm
it
sorry.
is.
Hopefully it was a red line with a turbo in it.
56 Lincoln Premier, which is kind of like the Batmobile, $20,003.
Wow.
Okay. And the last one, the 55 Chevy 150, sold for $63,800. And that is this week's Hemmings Motor News Weekly Car Sold Roundup. Hey, the In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show is available 24/7 through the iHeartRadio app. Just look for In-Wheel Time Car Talk. We also video stream on Facebook, YouTube, and InWheelTime.com. And podcasts are at your fingertips on over a dozen of the most popular podcast outlets. The In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show continues right after this quick break.
Everyone at the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise Inn at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy, thank you for participating in the best cruise in around and look forward to seeing you again. You'll hear about the next cruise in date right here on In Wheel Time. Next time you're in the West Houston Energy Corridor area, be sure and stop in at the original Loopy Tortilla Tex-Mex at I-10 and Highway 6 or the Katy location on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard. When passing through Beaumont or College Station, stop in and have Loopy's award-winning beef fajitas and frozen margaritas. There's always a celebration at Loopy Tortilla. Loopy Tortilla founder Stan Holt and his wife Sheila are winning racers on the NHRA drag racing circuit and have a collection of hot rods and classics that everyone appreciates. Look for them at the next Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise-In. The date will be announced soon and will once again be held at the Loopy Tortilla Tex-Mex on 99 and Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10 and Katy. We'll give you all the details right here on the In Real Time Car Talk Show and online. Donations benefit God's Garage. We'll see you then. You own a car you love. Well, why not let Gulf Coast Auto Shield protect it? Houstonian John Gray invites you to his state-of-the-art facility to introduce you to his specialist team of auto enthusiasts. We promise you'll be impressed. Whether you're looking to massage your original paint to a like-new appearance, apply a ceramic coating, install a paint protection film, nano-ceramic window tint, or new windshield protection called ExoShield, Gulf Coast Auto Shield is where Houston's car people go. Curbed your wheels? Instead of buying new, why not have them repaired? How about a professionally installed radar detector? Gulf Coast Auto Shield does that too. Get a peek inside the shop and look at the services offered by getting online and heading to gcautoshield.com. Better yet, stop by their facility at 11275 South Sam Houston Tollway, just south of the Southwest Freeway, and get a personal tour. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your place to go for all things exterior. Call them today, 832-930-5655 or gcautoshield.com. The award-winning In Real Time Car Talk Show is available on the most popular podcast channels out there in 30-minute episodes. We realize our 3-hour live show can be difficult to catch in its entirety, so now you can listen every day to a convenient, fresh 30-minute episode. Check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Audible, along with a dozen more. In Real Time has the most informative automotive guest interviews and new car reviews, along with popular features including Conrad's Car Clinic and This Week in Auto History, along with automotive news headlines. Our live broadcast airs every Saturday, 8 to 11 Central on InRealTime.com, the iHeart app, and on YouTube. Be sure to say hello when we're broadcasting from the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise-In, Autorama, and the Houston Auto Show, among others. Now, it's easier than ever to hear about all things automotive all week long. You're invited to join fellow car enthusiasts in becoming part of the ever-growing In Real Time Car Talk family. Don't forget those 30-minute podcast episodes on your favorite podcast channel.
It's the In Real Time Car Talk Show.
Woo-hoo.
Coming up, Brad Thompson, God's Garage. Conrad has This Week in Auto History. We'll get you caught up on the stories making automotive news this week. Howdy, along with a rare appearance in the studio by David Ainsley. So glad that you could make it. Thank you very much for helping us out today.
Glad to be
Mr. Mars is out with the early
things
sign.
have run quite smoothly with you here.
Go
Don't
figure.
know what Mars struggles with.
Yeah, well, once we got all of the files downloaded, that we got Mars out of bed early this morning, extra early. Mars, I cannot get this on my Google account. It wants me to log in 48 hours after my attempt to get into my danged Google account.
For the Too many bad passwords.
I don't use Google. I've got it because of my dang cell phone as a Google Samsung thing. I don't understand all
Well,
that.
why don't you fix it now that you got 48 hours to
Listen,
do it?
I am going to fix it, but I want a new cell phone, but I don't know what kind to get, and it's not going to be an iPhone. Thank you. I know. I'm going to get another Android because that's what I'm used to.
Get a Cricket.
I like my Android, but I'm not happy with Samsung. Every time that there's a change in my screen, ding, Samsung account needs updating. No, it doesn't. I don't want to update my Samsung account because I don't have a Samsung account. Okay? So I think I'm going to go away from Samsung. Okay. I've never used the Note feature in it. Mm-hmm. So why get another Note? They're expensive. So I'm thinking maybe I should go ahead and get me a Google Pixel. But after all this crap that I've gone through here with the, trying to log into my Google account, no, I don't want that either.
You're just hard to please.
Give me Joe Blow's cell phone.
There you go.
What are you all laughing at about?
Get a flip phone. Well, Mars is texting David to tell me to do something I physically can't do.
You just haven't tried.
I can't reach around there and kiss that part of my body.
We love you, Mars. Get well.
Let's get Mars on Zoom.
Yeah. Mars, where are you?
Tell him in person.
Brad is dissing us, so if you want to call in, please call in. We'll put you on the air. We'll get you with us. We want to hear that cough, that hacking, dry COVID cough that you're coming down with. Thanks to your 16-year-old granddaughter who's brought it home.
If you're the 9th caller, Mike, we'll get you in.
Yeah. So you'll have to send him an invite, I think. Isn't that how that works?
He knows how to join in.
Oh, he does? Okay.
Yeah, he just needs.
So if you want to join in, Mars, we'll be more than happy to
we
take
need somebody else to pick on. We've already picked on Don.
Well, no, we've picked on Mars, but he's not here to respond to the picking.
And that's not fair.
He's not calling in.
He's not calling in. Yeah.
He sent his resignation.
Exactly. All right. Well, while we're waiting for our guest, if he even shows up, you might. Hey, Mars, if you're not doing anything, why don't you call Brad and tell him to call in? Anyway, I got some headlines that will probably run out of time and I won't be able to get to, but let's try, okay? Federal Communications Commission has issued a record $300 million fine on a group whose illegal service contract telemarketing included 5 billion robocalls and messages declaring, quote, "We've been trying to reach you concerning your car's extended warranty."
Oh, yeah. I've had those calls. I wonder if I get any money on it.
The illegal service contract marketing scheme dated to at least 2018 and included more than 5 billion automated calls to more than 500 million phone numbers in just 3 months in 2021, according to the FCC.
Wow.
The group's alleged violations included breaking federal spoofing laws, I didn't know there was such a thing, by using more than 1 million caller ID numbers to fool customers into answering their phones, calling do not call numbers, making telemarketing calls without consumer consent, and failing to offer an opt-out number. Hey. I got this.
Got your number, buddy.
Yeah, I got your number.
Got your number.
FCC's fine comes a few months after the FTC announced Tony Gonzalez, the brother Charles Gonzalez, the joint service contract companies American Vehicle Protection and CG3 Solutions and the Tony Gonzalez Consulting Group, agreed to lifetime telemarketing bans and a mostly suspended $6.5 million judgment to settle allegations their extended automobile warranty telemarketing misrepresented their coverage and violated the Do Not Call registry.
Dang it.
Yeah.
They lied.
They lied. Mr. Gonzalez, you in a world of trouble now.
Deep kimchi.
No, he'll get out of it.
All of General Motors' electric vehicles could soon become backup home generators. Automaker plans to offer bidirectional charging on all of its EVs by 2026. I know where you're going. Don't even go there.
Didn't that get Bud Light in trouble?
Starting with the 2024 Chevy Silverado EV RST this year. Bidirectional charging allows the EV to send energy from its battery to other sources such as a house.
So what happens when the battery runs out?
The house dies.
The house dies.
And you can't drive anywhere.
Plug it in your neighbor's house.
That's it. Thanks to Automotive News, these stories, the current EV narrative has nearly 91,000 cars piling up at dealerships as consumer enthusiasm for the new technology dwindles. At some dealerships, that's true. Cox Automotive data shows EV supply of more than 100 days on dealership lots, more than double the number of gasoline vehicles. Still, that data is complicated by the nature of EV sales. EVs are expanding slice of the overall market, but until recently were hindered by short supply. Now, the EV sales share is outpacing the inventory share, according to Tyson Jomini, Vice President of Data and Analytics at J.D. Power.
And the batteries are dying while they're sitting there in inventory.
Helped by robust sales related to changing federal zero-emission vehicle sales incentives this year, EVs made up 8.6% of retail sales and 6.7% of available inventory in June, according to J.D. Power. Now, Cox Automotive inventory data shows a 103-day supply of EVs on average in June. Figure represents EVs at dealerships, excluding Tesla.
And that kind of day's inventory is going to push big incentives.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's known fact that Elon is lowering the price of Teslas every day. So you're getting down there, he's going to get competitive, and you watch, he's going to do just fine.
Just dandy.
All right. Guess who's on the line with us, ladies and gentlemen? Here he is, Brad Thompson, God's Garage. Good morning, Brad.
And sorry I was late, guys. I actually have a business, and we did a pilot test in Saudi Arabia. So they just finished it, and it didn't go as well as we hoped. So wasn't great news, but I've been kind of scrambling this morning.
But here's the great news.
Apologize for being late.
The great news is you're on the air with us.
There you go.
Absolutely.
And we're going to make your day. Well, hopefully. At least with some fun and, something to get your mind off of the failure there in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
Brown, how's it going at God's Garage?
It's going well. We've acclimated to our new building, I think, pretty well. We've put in some new processes to try to, deal with a new way of working. We have guys that have almost adopted bays, volunteers that come in and work on.
That's my bay. You can't be in there.
It's like, whose car's in my bay, But,
yep.
But it's been really good. It's a learning experience. It's just like building a house too. You've got a punch list that seems to go on forever. But all in all, our donations are about a little bit ahead of where they were last year, which is good.
It's great news.
Salvage sales are up, so at least salvage sale revenue is up. So it's allowing us to kind of dig a little deeper into some cars to fix them a little more.
While you mentioned that, and I realized you were working on your Saudi deal, you didn't get a chance to watch. We had Richard Tomlin on, and he is one of the people who's involved in the 24 Hours of Lemons. And,
yeah.
And they're looking for $500 cars. I was wondering if you're talking about your salvage sales, if that might be a source of people could go find some of these $500 cars for the 24 Hours of Lemons.
I think they could. We are an actual Texas dealer, so I think that would be a good thing to think about. I'll tell you, though, I'll confess, I've always wanted to do that race. I know they won't let me take my Corvette. And
I won't let you take the Corvette.
Well, that's right. Yeah, you're right. But at one time, we had an M3 convertible that got donated that sat in a field for 3 years, and the windows were down that far.
Perfect.
So the inside was just trashed.
Perfect.
That's what I thought, but the convertible kind of threw me for a loop because I'm like, okay, well, I'm not sure I want to do that race in a convertible.
It'd be easy to put a cage in it when it's a convertible.
Right. Absolutely right. No roof in the way, but that one we ended up selling that to somebody that bought it as a refurb. So the short answer is yes, we might be a good source of that. The secondary answer is I want to put a God's Garage car in one of those races.
Well, that could be done.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think we need to find the right people. And a few years ago, before we started building a building, and that stopped everything. But a few years ago, before we started doing that, I had done enough homework that I actually had a corporate sponsor that was going to help me pay for the brake systems, the fire system, and all the safety stuff we really needed that you can actually spend money on. And then we were gonna put a God's Garage car in there, but that kind of came apart when TxDOT told us they were going to cut our building in half. So that kind of changed things.
Yeah. So explain to those people that don't really know what God's Garage is and what you do.
Yeah, I was waiting for Conrad to prompt me. He's usually real good at that. So God's Garage, we're a nonprofit up in Conroe. We take in donated vehicles, whether they're running or not. We get them as roadworthy as possible, and then we actually give those vehicles away to single moms, widows, and wives of deployed military. And we also fix those cars. We fix cars for that same audience. If they have their own car and the AC's out or check engine lights on or something, they can apply to have repairs done. And I'll tell you, Justin Coggins, our executive director, been there about 2 years now. He has taken the wait time for the repairs from 6 to 8 months down to 1 month. We literally get to those repairs every month. He's done a magnificent job of that. So, but we'll actually repair cars. So the only thing we ask in return is they go through a process where we have we used to just call it our seminar. We now call it Restore You, and there's actually one going on, I believe, right now at the garage. And it's just it's a life skills seminar. You know, it's budgeting, how to write a resume, how to do an interview, nutrition, a few other things like that. So we ask them to go through that, and what they learn too is that they're not alone. You know, they're people in their same situation, and there's no shame in what's going on in their lives, and we're just there to help them kind of get a boost up.
Awesome. Well, I want to say this too, that there's a particular radio show that I listen to, and there is a donate your car thing that advertises on this show a lot. I don't know whether they're paying money, probably not, but whatever the case may be. And there are other donated car people out there,
businesses.
And so I want you to tell us why we would donate to you as opposed to them.
Well, for our Houston-based audience, we're the people we're helping are in our own backyard. They're in our community. So when you donate a car to us, we have every intention of taking that car and giving it a new life and an extended life. We're not merely taking in a car just to flip it into cash and then go do something else with it. We're car people. We have a 7 bay, I guess, technically, a 7 bay garage now up in Conroe that we just built. That's, you know, over $1 million. It's a wonderful facility, and our objective is to take those cars, give them away to the women who need that help hand up. And we also know that the single largest factor in helping people better their economic situation is reliable transportation. It just is. There's, especially in the Houston area.
I was just going to say it's Houston, buddy.
Right. So, but if you're outside of the Houston area, you can still donate a vehicle to us, but that vehicle will get turned into cash, just like all the national programs you see, you know, donate your car and help some dancing kids in the street. You know, I'm sure all those programs have nice intentions, but none of those people are taking the car because it's a car. They're taking a car because they can turn it into cash.
Right.
We take that car and we try to give it an extended life. So every one of our cars goes through a new inspection. You know, we actually have Roadway Lube Plus, which is over on, if you're up in the Conroe area, I think he's on 1083. Ike over there inspects every one of our vehicles for free. He doesn't charge us one dime. I mean, we have to pay the state fee because they're not as kind. But Ike over there, he's also a U-Haul dealer. He does every one of our cars for free. So we try to do everything we can to take that car and put it to use for what it was for, to give somebody reliable transportation.
Right.
Well, and that's the life-changing experience that you're bringing to the community through these donated cars, because it's not just about donating a car. As you said earlier, you know, you have training, life skills training that goes along with accepting the car in the program, is to teach people how to budget, teach people how to do all of those fundamental things, my personal opinion, that our public school system has failed to do. So now it's a matter of, you know, where can we learn those things and get that change of life transportation through God's Garage?
Yeah, you know, that's really a good point, Conrad. But I wish we had more time than just, you know, like an hour on each topic on a Saturday. But we also connect them with a community of people that they don't have. Usually those people don't have a community support system like we can introduce through all of the other churches that support us, the, you know, all the battery suppliers, Discount Tire in Conroe, all of the people that support us, they all now become the support community for those people. And I wish we had more time. I can tell you that I've talked to some applicants that they say the seminar, or what we now call Restore You, is actually more valuable to them than the car. Because they could say, you know what, I could still get around. I can take Uber and do that. But nobody's teaching me what you guys have taught me. And nobody has given me the support system and this sense of family that I've never really had.
How cool.
And it's huge. It's, you know, I know this is a car show, and we love to talk about the cars, but the amount of change we make in their lives emotionally is enormous.
Well, and we've heard from a couple of the recipients of your generosity, and they speak volumes about the plan, the program that you have, not just the car, and they're very appreciative of the car, no doubt about it. I remember the one woman that had no way to get to the grocery store, something as basic that we all take for granted. And now she's got a car. She can actually go to the grocery store, get the groceries, and bring the groceries home. Some of the basic stuff that we all just take for granted, you've been able to change these people's lives, and it's very commendable. So what kind of cars are you working on today?
Man, we got a Corvair in there.
A Corvair, oh dear Lord.
Don't see know anybody who wants one.
No.
Lemons.
Lemons.
We had a
That'd be
Willys
a good
Jeep in
lemons
there with a
car.
50 cal machine gun mounted on it recently.
Again,
that
lemons.
that somebody said, we'll donate that to you if you can get it running, and then we'll sell it and we'll turn the donation over. So we've had that. But man, I tell you, there's mostly what we see is 150,000 plus mile cars that are probably closer to a decade old than not.
But there's nothing wrong with that.
That's normal.
No, not at all. And we recently got a 2018 Yukon that I think we turned around and sold that because, that has so much cash value for us. We're going to fix probably 20 cars or more with what we got off of the sale of that one vehicle.
That's beautiful, yeah.
Well, and you're looking for vehicle donations, but from what I understand as well, you're looking for time donations. People that can come to God's Garage and do some work, physical hands-on work for you. I've got lots of technicians and stuff that I have connections with throughout, and I'm going to reach out to a bunch of them and see if they want to come over there and donate some of their time as well.
Well, thanks for the segue. We're also looking for a ASC certified mechanic to join our staff. So if you guys know of anybody that has kind of had enough of the rat race of the real world and they want to come work for maybe a little less than they can make in the open market, but they want to come work in a cause that it literally is second to none, we'd love to talk to anybody. So if you've got anybody that's a certified mechanic, has a current certification or can get their certification current, we would love to talk to them because we're trying to add on.
Yeah, I'll bounce it off a few guys.
Well,
I know.
Brad, it's always great to talk to you. We're going to put your information up on our social media channels, and everybody can go there and get in touch with you if you want a donation or whatever the case may be. Great to talk to you, my friend. We love you guys, and please give everybody our best, and let's talk soon.
Yeah, we'll do that. God'sGarage.org is our website, Conrad. I got that in. Thank you. And
I've already got it posted.
Yeah, I'm sure. And we'll see you guys later. Thanks for having us on and giving us all the support you do.
You bet.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
All right, time now for This Week in Auto History, and Conrad's got that.
Well, pretty cool segue Brad gave us, and we'll talk about that in a moment. So in 1928, Chung Si-young, the co-founder of Hyundai Motor Company, was born
Lord.
this week in Gangwon Province, Korea. And Hyundai was founded in 1967. Oh, you didn't know? You got to bring it back
I
up. Because it was built on a handshake.
And we got that.
In 1932, Richard Hollingshead Jr. first registered his patent for a drive-in movie theater. He was tired of the ordinary movie theaters. Hollingshead wanted to create a theater where parents could bring their children in their pajamas and avoid babysitters and relax in the comfort of their own car watching a Friday night film. Hollingshead was awarded the patent in May of that year, though it was declared invalid in 1950 after the patent was revoked. Thousands of drive-ins appeared throughout the United States, reaching a high of 4,063 in 1958, and there's still an operating drive-in west of Tomball on Highway 2920.
There's 3 in San Antonio.
Are there? In 1957, here's the segue, Chevrolet Corporation registered the Corvair name for its new rear-engine compact car this week that was released in 1959. Corvairs became quite controversial. People either loved them or most people hated them. The car was accused of being unsafe at any speed from Ralph Nader, even though a 1972 government study later exonerated Chevrolet and the Corvair as Nader's claims were found to be untrue. Oh, really? A politician's claims were found to be untrue? Today, the Corvair is considered rare and collectible, and one is available at God's Garage and has been called one of the most significant cars in automotive history.
Okay.
In 1962, Chrysler Corporation was the first auto company to set an industry milestone by announcing a 5-year, 50,000-mile warranty covering all of its cars and trucks. Now, I didn't realize this back in 62 that they offered a 560 warranty. In 1965, Ford released the Bronco, again, another one of Lee Iacocca's ideas, and that was to compete against the Jeep CJ5 and the International Harvester Scout. And if you think about it, Ford Mustang, Ford Bronco, Ford Maverick, all of those horse-themed vehicles. I never realized that until the guy from the museum had kind of brought that to my attention. I thought that was pretty cool. And then finally, in 1986, the last episode of the TV show Knight Rider aired. Now, I couldn't find a picture of Knight Rider, but here's a picture of Don leaning on a Corvette.
Okay.
The program featured David Hasselhoff as a private eye, Michael Knight, and the real star of the show was KITT, his talking car, complete with artificial intelligence. Think of today, artificial intelligence. And KITT assisted Michael on his crime-fighting missions, communicating with him through a remote device Michael wore on his wrist, which we now know as the iWatch.
Thank you.
How advanced that was.
Yeah,
Think
it
about
was.
how many things.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the transporter from Star Wars.
That's next.
Scotty, beam me up.
I'm working on it in the back
Star
room.
Wars, not Star Trek.
Star Trek.
The UAW demands would nearly triple labor rates to more than $150 an hour per employee at all 3 automakers in Detroit, according to a knowledgeable source. This from Automotive News. UAW demands would mean unsustainable labor costs for the Detroit 3. The UAW's list of contract demands, including more than 40% raises for members, would increase labor costs for the Detroit 3 by $45 billion to $80 billion a year and threaten their future viability, according to calculations by people familiar with the company's costs.
And Mary Barra still makes
Today,
$29
Ford Motor
million
Company,
a year.
General Motors, and Stellantis spend at least $64 per hour on each worker's wage and benefits. That's more than the roughly $55 per hour cost at the transplant automakers that use non-union labor. So expect a strike to come. It's going to be in September, and it's right around the corner. Just wanted to pass that along to you. Well, that's it for this hour of the In-Wheel Time. We're going to wrap things up here on In-Wheel Time right after a quick break. Stay with us.
Everyone at the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy, thank you for participating in the best cruise in around and look forward to seeing you again. You'll hear about the next cruise in date right here on In-Wheel Time. Next time you're in the West Houston Energy Corridor area, be sure and stop in at the original Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex at I-10 and Highway 6 or the Katy location on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard. When passing through Beaumont or College Station, stop in and have Lupi's award-winning beef fajitas and frozen margaritas. There's always a celebration at Lupi Tortilla. Lupi Tortilla founder Stan Holt and his wife Sheila are winning racers on the NHRA drag racing circuit and have a collection of hot rods and classics that everyone appreciates. Look for them at the next Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In. The date will be announced soon and will once again be held at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex on 99 and Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10 and Katy. We'll give you all the details right here on the In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show and online. Donations benefit God's Garage. We'll see you then. You own a car you love. Well, why not let Gulf Coast Auto Shield protect it? Houstonian John Gray invites you to his state-of-the-art facility to introduce you to his specialist team of auto enthusiasts. We promise you'll be impressed. Whether you're looking to massage your original paint to a like-new appearance, apply a ceramic coating, install a paint protection film, nano-ceramic window tint, or new windshield protection called ExoShield, Gulf Coast Auto Shield is where Houston's car people go. Curbed your wheels? Instead of buying new, why not have them repaired? How about a professionally installed radar detector? Gulf Coast Auto Shield does that too. Get a peek inside the shop and look at the services offered by getting online and heading to gcautoshield.com. Better yet, stop by their facility at 11275 South Sam Houston Tollway, just south of the Southwest Freeway, and get a personal tour. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your place to go for all things exterior. Call them today, 832-930-5655 or gcautoshield.com. The award-winning In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show is available on the most popular podcast channels out there in 30-minute episodes. We realize our 3-hour live show can be difficult to catch in its entirety, so now you can listen every day to a convenient, fresh 30-minute episode. Check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Audible, along with a dozen more. In-Wheel Time has the most informative automotive guest interviews and new car reviews, along with popular features including Conrad's Car Clinic and This Week in Auto History, along with automotive news headlines. Our live broadcast airs every Saturday, 8 to 11 Central on InWheelTime.com, the iHeart app, and on YouTube. Be sure to say hello when we're broadcasting from the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In, Autorama, and the Houston Auto Show, among others. Now, it's easier than ever to hear about all things automotive all week long. You're invited to join fellow car enthusiasts in becoming part of the ever-growing In-Wheel Time Car Talk family. Don't forget those 30-minute podcast episodes on your favorite podcast channel.
Ah, that's the checkered flag sound for this week's In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show.
And you are the winner for watching.
When you're online, follow us on Facebook, give us a like, tell your friends about us, and share our junk if you would, please. We promise to keep you posted on all things automotive all week long, including new car reviews, upcoming events, cruise-ins, racing events, car, truck, and SUV goodies, and we promise not to load up your feed. You can find the In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app and our live video stream on Facebook, YouTube, and on InWheelTime.com every Saturday, 8 to 11 Central Time. Daily 30-minute podcasts are available on the podcast channel you choose. The In-Wheel Time Chief Engineer in the studio with us today, ladies and gentlemen, David Ainsley. Our Marketing Advertising Advisor and Video Technical Director is We Need More, Jeff Zeke.
Pick up a calendar anyway.
For Booking Agent and Zoom Master, Mike Mars. Mr. Know-It-All is Royalty King Conrad DeLong. I'm Don Armstrong. Please join us for our next week's show for another award-winning production of the In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Saturday, August 19th, 2023, on all of our In-Wheel Time Car Talk outlets. Right here on the Smoke and Mirrors Network, 8 to 11 Central Time. Have a great weekend. Try to stay cool, and we'll see you then. And we'll have David Tillman, Channel 13 weather forecaster, on the air with us next week. So stay tuned for that.